Louis put me on to you.
Yeah.
Little Kane.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one because I was looking for people to do podcasts with, and right away, dude, he sent me your page, and then we connected, and you're here, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. How do you guys know each other?
He just follows me on Instagram.
Oh, really?
We've never met. He sent me the story post, and I responded immediately because everybody that follows me on Instagram knows that my number one goal right now is do as much public speaking as possible and be in on as many podcasts as possible.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so he helped me out with that one.
I was watching one of your videos, and you were saying that you don't want to produce any content unless it's teaching people something.
Yeah.
What makes you go like that route?
Yeah. For I would say like the last couple years, like a lot of my content has been like meme based, like TikTok trends, things like that, which work great because like you can get people's attention that way and then kind of teach them as like a byproduct, almost like a Trojan horse way of like finding new ways to make impact. But I just turned 30 this last May. And I'm like, okay, I can't be a meme my entire life, you know? And there's this whole career that most of my social media following has no idea about, where I like was, you know, a Boy Scout growing up, became an Eagle Scout, and then was an Air Force officer, and then had a whole space career, and then, you know, got out of the military, and then had a whole career in finance, and then I became a TikToker. So like I've got a lot of life experience in a lot of leadership roles where I learned a lot of things through leading different people in different scenarios. And I'm like, I need to use this to teach people, you know, mistakes that I've made, things that I've learned, and just make the world a better place. But ultimately, my main goal is to live the best story possible and then teach others to do the same while living that best story.
Wow, that's a lot of different things that you've been into.
Yeah, hopped around a little bit.
Which is the most exciting one that you were part of?
I would say definitely Space Command. For sure, because that's the one thing where like very few people have experience in the space industry. Not a lot of people. You'll go your whole life, and how often do you see a rocket launch, you know, or like a missile get launched into space? And I don't care who you are, where you're from, or what language you speak. If you see a rocket go into orbit, it makes you a kid. And I think that's why I loved it, is because I probably watched 30 plus launches across my career.
Oh, wow.
And I remember one time we had like 20, 30 plus Taiwanese media reps out there in the field with me while I was holding the little countdown radio. And I was like a uniformed second lieutenant at the time. And I think it was SpaceX, launched a rocket. And we all just sat there in silence and just watched it go up, you know, and all different ages. None of them spoke English, and we all were having the same experience. Yeah. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie October Sky. Where
I haven't.
You haven't? Oh, highly recommend. There's so much garbage coming out of Hollywood right now. Like, this is a movie that it's like older. You can go back and watch a great movie. October Sky is a true story of, I think his name is Homer Hickam. Became a NASA. He like started to work for NASA, but as a kid, he started building like these model rockets that got bigger and better and started going higher. And the very end of the movie, they launch it, and they're all looking up at it, and they're like, this one's going to go for miles. And it's that same feeling of just being a kid and that wonder of, wow, like, you know, this is amazing to watch. So,
for sure.
Space Command is my answer.
Dude, movies are real dog shit right now,
yes.
right?
Yeah. Dude, when you go home to Netflix, how many people are like you got your meal ready, you know, you want to wind down and like watch something, and you'll spend like 20 minutes trying to find something to watch to eat your 10-minute meal, and like whatever you decide on, it's not going to retain your attention anyway, because you're probably going to pick up your phone and do something else while this movie that you just picked is on in the background. Do you do this?
Yeah. So the timeline's a little different.
Yeah.
Because it's like my wife and I, our sleep schedules are not the same.
Yeah.
The baby's going crazy. So whenever we do actually get a chance to sit down and watch a movie, it's like a special thing.
Yeah.
And we'll see a movie. I don't even know what it was called. It recently just came out, and we put it on, and I think it was like in the top 10.
What was it about?
Netflix. It was family swap or some shit.
Okay.
Oh,
it's
my
a TV
God.
show or a movie?
No, it was a movie. And it was one of the guys from The Hangover, that dude that loses his tooth.
Oh, yeah.
That guy's in it. Garbage.
Really?
Literally,
yeah.
It could be an AI movie.
Yeah.
The whole movie is terrible.
Yeah.
And then there was that other movie about the end of the world.
Yeah. Left Behind or something like that. Yeah.
A lot of people liked it, from what I heard.
I got like a third of it.
I thought
done.
it was really stupid.
It was boring. Yeah,
and
agreed.
The ending.
Yeah,
I'm gonna spoil this for everybody.
You can. I'm not gonna watch it.
The little girl breaks into the neighbor's house and watches Friends.
That's the ending.
That's the ending. I looked at my wife and we were laughing in disbelief.
Oh my god.
We could have just watched something else. We could have watched Sandlot or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But it's like the strike, the writer's strike.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of see it now.
I think part of it is the writer's strike, yes, because they haven't been producing content. But the other half of it is, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I might trigger some of your audience, is Hollywood is pandering to a small percent of people, demanding an overly inclusive type of content that people do not care to spend money to watch.
For sure.
And we're getting low quality, films out of it. Like, we're not getting where the real true stories, like where's another Radio movie that come out, or where's another We Are Marshall, or something like that, where you can watch a movie about a real person that overcomes a struggle, and you don't force certain like political agendas in the movie. You just tell the story how it happens, however it happens, sure. And if you're not included in that movie, you might be in the next one, but you don't have to have everybody in every movie. And then Hollywood, because they're so afraid of offending anyone, is like, let's just make a 17th Spider-Man movie, let's just make another Marvel movie. Like, I don't hate, but I have zero interest in superhero movies.
Sure.
I have yet to see one that I'm like, that was really good, except for Batman. Batman did it right.
Yeah, I think it was before everything went insane.
Mm-hmm.
Batman's were good.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Man 1 was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
2, I don't really recall it. Anything after Spider-Man with not Peter Parker, that's his name. Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire.
Yeah. That was that was like when I was like a kid.
Yeah,
came out. Yeah,
those were good.
Yeah, that's
everything
fair. Yeah.
else, I have no interest.
Right. Yeah.
In watching, and then you have to watch 25. And then you have to watch this one, and then Thor, and then Ant-Man, and then Woman Man, or whatever. You have to watch them all together.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, this is insane.
Yeah.
Why would I waste any sort of time?
Yeah.
But then you think about it, and a lot of people watch that stuff, right?
Yeah. It's safe. Like, I think Hollywood knows if they make that movie, it's gonna make money.
Yeah.
And like, they have this cult following where people, I don't know what the like attraction is to watching like a superhero movie, because I can't relate to it. Like, if I watch another, we'll just say Iron Man, like I'm not Iron Man. Iron Man doesn't exist. Now, there are some values there where it's like there's like a superhero you can look up to, but like, have you ever watched, Lone Survivor? To me, that's a superhero. Like, these guys that are like, I will die for you. You're willing to die for me. We're out here to stop people from doing real evil, and this is a movie that documents the true story of how it went down. To me, like, I finished Lone Survivor for like the 5th time that I'd seen it recently, and I was like crying. I like texted my recruiter, and I was like, I want to do another tour,
Oh shit.
Because like, I feel a certain way. Like, I have never out of the fight tattooed on my arm for a reason. It's just like, you can finish a superhero movie and you know how it's gonna end most likely. It's like the superhero defeats evil, whatever, and tons and tons and tons of CGI and corny lines and not much character development.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of people that waste time, so they don't have to focus on the real issues of their life.
It's an escape.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the more escapes that they can have, they'll do it.
Yeah.
Because if not, then they have to put that laundry away.
Yeah.
But I can't put the laundry away. Spider-Man 7's out right now. I got tickets.
Yeah.
Me and my buddies are gonna go, and they're just jacking off all day. Their time is just jacking off, eating like shit, and then mad at the world when they see successful people. But they don't put any work into it.
There's the internet nowadays. I can't post a video, I don't care what it is, without receiving hate. Because I've reached a point now where my following's large enough where like I will reach a good sample size of the country, or the globe, whatever. And like, my most recent video that went viral now is about to hit 1 million views, and it is literally me letting kids sit in the driver's seat of my R8.
Oh, very
And their
cool.
reactions. Every kid that got in the car was like under the age of 10. And then some of them are drawing on my car, because I painted my car the same texture as a chalkboard, and then I bring a bucket of chalk to car meets and I let the kids draw on a supercar.
Cool.
Who does that,
Yeah.
The most wholesome thing ever. There's no agenda, all different kinds of kids, various ages, and it's just that universal happiness.
Yeah.
And there are people in my comments mad, just so angry at it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm like, why? And it's like you said, it's like they're just mad at the world and they're just letting it out wherever it is. So it doesn't matter what content I put out. And it's like I can try to be as positive as I want. Someone's going to find a way to be upset about it. And I think Hollywood's a bit afraid to take risks on certain films, putting them out because they're afraid. Because out of, let's just say there's like 2,000 comments on that video. Out of those 2,000, 100 of them or maybe 200 of them are like really, really, really angry. And it's like you can't leave out the 1,800 that loved it, to try to make everybody happy. Because right now, I think Hollywood is trying to make 2,000 people happy instead of focusing on their 1,800 core followers. And in reality, they're losing the interest of the 1,800 while pandering to 200.
For sure. We're in a weird time right now where everything that was legacy is not locked in anymore. It's a different world that we're in. Even something as big as Hollywood. Have you been to Hollywood lately?
Actually, I'm gonna move there pretty soon.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like I wish it was better. I wanna be in LA because it's where everything is just happening.
Yeah, for
there's
sure.
so many connections and there's so much
sure.
to like, and there are still creators out there creating,
Yeah.
and just like being genuine. You can't be a trendsetter, and not live in the trend-setting capital of the world. So like if you want impact, unfortunately, it is the place you have to be. Now I have like this love that just will never end for LA. So it doesn't matter how ratchet it gets. Like I still will want to live there for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But like, you can't try to change the world. I mean, you can, but like you can make a pretty big impact if you meet the right people in this city. It's magic.
I think as long as you realize that your world is yours and however you make it, that's your world. Whatever else happens on the outside, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Because it just like things don't even enter my atmosphere.
Yeah.
Because it's like I have no interest.
Yeah.
And the algorithm is good.
Yeah.
In that way.
Yeah.
All the things that are going on in the world, all the bad stuff, whatever's happening, zombie apocalypse. I don't give a shit, dude. Whatever. Yeah. I have a feeling that when it comes to that day, that shit pops off.
Yeah.
I'll handle it then.
Because
then that day I'm gonna be looking back at these days and be like, damn, I shouldn't have been worrying so much.
Yeah,
the day's
that's
not
a good
here.
point. That's a good point.
If right now atomic bomb hits, oh well.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna wait and worry. What if it's gonna happen? What if it's gonna happen? Those traits that people have, like just being so scared and then even hating, like all of those things, those emotions are the most easiest emotions. It's easy to be scared. It's hard to be courageous.
Yeah.
It's easy to be negative. It's hard to be positive.
Yeah.
Especially with everything in the world going on. It's so hard to be positive.
Yeah.
Especially if you have bad circumstances, you lost your job.
Yeah.
You're in a bad relationship or whatever. It's hard to be positive. So that's why people are so negative. But once you escape that world and you understand, then you start to see it in people and you start to see like those people commenting. You look at their life and you're like, bro, I would feel exactly the way that you do.
Yes.
If that's how I was living life, if that's how I was, if that's how I was maneuvering, if I would drink soda.
Yeah.
If I would eat junk food for every meal.
Yeah.
If I was in a toxic relationship, if I had a bad relationship with my friends, the people that are supposed to be the ones that help me escape and have a good time, like all of these things are bad in your life, how are you going to be happy?
Right.
You're not.
Yeah.
So you just got to like focus focus on you. You change the world and the world's going to look how you want it to look.
Right.
Whatever the hell else is going down,
I think it was Tony Robbins that had this exercise where he was like, can you look around the room and find everything that's red? And it's like then you start to notice all these red things. Or like when you buy a car, you start to notice like, oh my God, everybody has the same car as me.
Yeah.
And it's because you find the things that you focus on. So if you're focused on negativity, that is what you will see in the world. If you focus on the positive things. And one thing a realization I had recently in the last week was that there's some people that have burned me pretty bad as time goes, and it just comes with the territory of trying to build a brand and a business or anything like that. And I had to remind myself, I was like, God is obsessively in love with that person in the same way that he is with you. So if God can love this person to a level of unconditional love, I need to remind myself, like, if I'm hating this person, You know, I'm hating someone that, like, God is loving me the same way. And that made me just reframe everything, because I was like, man, I'm like holding all this hate for this person that justifiably did wrong things to me, you know, like either lied to me or tried to steal something or like said something behind my back, and then it makes its way around and you just want to get them, you know? And then you just go, oh man, you know, it's like you said, you have two kind of perspectives here. One, God loves them. And two, they probably have something in their life that they're dealing with that's pretty rough, and this is just one way of them handling it. It doesn't justify, it doesn't make it right, but it kind of gives you a little more perspective to try to like let go of the things that they've done to you, because you're like, yeah, they've got, and man, I can't tell you, like when I look through these comments, and I shouldn't read as many as I do, but I do sometimes, and like I'll always go to their profile, and like somebody that, let's put it this way, I've never seen another R8 owner have a problem with my car or how I paint it or what stickers I put on it or anything I do with it. It's always somebody that has a car that's not an R8, you know? And that's not to say like I'm like better than them or anything. It's just like they're just in a different mindset, and it's just like if I was like hating on someone that had like a Lamborghini, you know? It's like other Lamborghini owners don't come after other Lamborghini owners because they're all in like the same kind of mindset. So like you can't fault them for it. And it's like, instead of looking at them and be like, how can I attack you and like push you down farther because you came after me? It's like, how can I catch this person off guard and meet them with grace? And I used to do these like comment reaction videos, which are kind of tongue in cheek, like responding to some of these haters. Because like, especially when I dumped house paint on my car, that brought in a lot of haters. So I did like some funny reactions to the videos, but I thought about it and I was like, you know, these videos are funny. They're pretty harmless, you know, but some of these people that I was, you know, posting their comment and then like, you know, my little reaction to it, I was like, I'm not building them up doing this, you know? And then my roommate Mark had a really good perspective on this recently. He was like, think of all the people you look up to, you know, guys like Erwin McManus, or guys like Lewis House, or Jim Quick. You know, if they were in the room with you and they were scrolling through your Instagram and they saw your video, your comment reaction, or whatever, you responding to haters, whatever you want to post, would you be proud of it or embarrassed?
For sure.
And I was like, you know, when I post those types of videos, or if I make little cheeky comments or anything like that, like, do I feel embarrassed across like the majority of my following? No. I think it's content that like does well. I think it's harmless. I think it's funny, you know? But in front of those guys, I'm like, I'm not at their level. This is not at their level. Like, their level would be either ignore it, delete the comment that came through, or focus on whatever you're building. Don't even give that energy, you know? So I had to rethink it again. I was like, dude, because like I'm not even like we'll say triggered. Like, I'm not coming after. I'm not starting a fight. I'm making a joke out of it and brushing it off. And to me, that wasn't even good enough. I was like, how do I make them better? Because some people that DM me, like I got a DM 2 days ago from the kid video in the R8, and he sent me something really hateful, and it was like one of the first messages I opened that day. And I was like, oh my God. And it's like, what if I message that guy like, hey man, like, and I've done this a few times, like he owned like a BMW, you know, it was just like a regular like 3 Series or something. I was like, hey man, like your car's actually pretty cool, you know, like where are you from, or something like that. And you'd be surprised, every time I've done that, the person does an immediate 180. They don't double down on their hate. They're like, oh, it's you know, it's like a 3 Series and I live in Minnesota, you know, or something like that. So I think dealing with haters is like a new thing that I'm learning how to do as my TikTok and my Instagram start to pick up even more. Because I used to think like haters was like a made up thing. It's like, oh, like you have haters. And it's like, now I genuinely do have like a lot of haters. And I'm like, oh, this is real. And it does get in your head because it is part of your environment. And it does sometimes reinforce like, maybe my car does look stupid with house paint on it, you know, because so many people are telling me. But as your audience grows, you have to remind yourself that like there's always going to be people that don't approve of it. And as long as it's not everyone that's kind of, or at least your core friends are like, hey man, you're good, you know, just keep doing your thing. Because yeah, those haters are going to come, but they're coming from a place of they're upset with their own life, so they got to come after yours.
Yeah, it's hard, dude, because like content, if you're a content creator, there's certain parameters that you have to follow. Like what's gonna be a good video, what is gonna get the views, you know, and then you have to align that with who am I, what do I want to do, what kind of content do I want to do, and sometimes it's way off. You know, like for me, for instance, with the podcast, like say if you had some controversy or something about you, like it would, okay. Yeah. Most podcasts would talk about that.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's not what I'm trying to do. And when I do, if I were to do that, that's not going to be genuine. Yes, it's going to get me the views and it's going to get people to check it out and it can blow up. But that I can't sacrifice my vision of what I want it to be, you know? So that part, you have to be really honest with yourself. And that voice is probably really hard to listen to. And it might not be, but the voice that's like, why am I painting my car with house paint? What is the reason for me doing this? The one voice is in, well, you're gonna get views. No one's ever done this before. This is gonna be cool, you know? And the other one is gonna be like, maybe it's just a quick way to get views. You know, it's those conversations that you have to have personally.
Totally.
And if you're completely 100% honest with yourself and what you're trying to do, nothing else matters. And you won't have those sort of,
you won't get so triggered when the comments start coming in.
Because when those comments come in, say for myself, if I was doing something and I was like, yeah, this is kind of a little shortcut to go viral or something like that, and then people pointed that out, of course I'd be like, shit, they caught me.
Oh, they don't let anything slide either, too.
Exactly. But if the reason that you're doing it is a genuine reason, you thought, hey, this is a cool idea because this is fun or what have you, anybody could say anything about it, you know? And then it's like, okay, so say you're in that person's position in life. If you're looking through their life and they just have a base car or whatever, maybe they fucking work their ass off to get that base car or whatever, and then they see someone like yourself with their dream car and just dumping paint on it,
100%,
and then it makes them think like, if I was in that position, I would not do that.
That's literally what they say.
I would be cleaning that car every day. How disrespectful.
Yes.
And just think about it on another level, like the Whistle Dixie dude.
Whistle and Diesel.
That dude or whatever, right?
Yes.
I never comment on it. I'll never go on there. I just don't watch it. But me watching that, it's childish. The things that he does is very childish. And when I look at it as a man-child doing those things just because they can, that same impact that you would have with blowing up TJ Hunt's Lambo or whatever the fuck you did with it, you could have done something else to help out. You could have bought 20 cars and just gave them to kids. Go to a skate park and give 20 kids the 20 cars. You know, but you have to deal with, well, that's not going to get the views. And okay, I get it. That's your brand. You're Blippy for car guys. That's it, right? You're playing a character and you're just working the algorithm. You're killing it. You're making dough. Everybody knows you. I respect that because making content is hard. Staying on top is hard. Doesn't do anything for me. But I know not to go on there and hate because there's no reason.
Right.
Like this dude's, maybe he's stoked because he's from fucking the corner of Wichita. You know, 2,000 people live in his town or whatever, and he's the fucking man. You know, but like, I couldn't vibe with somebody like that because it's just like it's like it's the comedy between like a Dave Chappelle versus that dude with the hammer and like fucking pumpkins,
dude with the hammer
breaking pumpkins and fucking, you know, blowing shit up. What the hell?
I know,
Gallagher or some shit
I never
like that. Yeah, it's like a Carrot Top or something.
I got you.
That. They're all fucking killing it. They're all doing great. I'm sure all of their family is stoked for them. But like, would I want to be in that position? You know, would I want to have this podcast be the #1 podcast where I have to have guests come in and then bring out all their dirty laundry? Clip this.
We were literally talking about that on the drive up here, where like there's this podcast and I'm not going to name that like bases all of their like virality off of bringing on hosts that they know are going to say like really uneducated, triggering perspectives, like just distorted perspectives on reality, and then they take little snippets of it and they upload their little Instagram reels and they always take off because everybody gets mad in the comments. And it's like, yeah, they have a successful podcast, but like, do you want to be the podcast that's known? You're like a TMZ kind of, where you're known for like stirring the pot, or do you want to be the podcast like Lewis Howes's, School of Greatness, where you finish a podcast, and you're like, I'm living differently today because I watched this, And sometimes you can win in both areas, because Lewis Howes is crushing it, and all he does is deliver value and create impact, And then you have, you just have people on the other end of the spectrum that are just like, whatever it takes for views. And I haven't really done anything that's like in the whatever it takes for views category. To each their own. I have a lot of like TikTok trends and like meme type things where it's not stupid. It's just memes, but you're not going to learn anything from me running a TikTok trend. So it's like, I might do those here and now to like kind of pull in, a new crowd and get them hooked, and then be like, by the way, I'm on these, 17 podcasts, or I have like these little clipped pieces of me giving you perspectives on what does it take to own a supercar in your 20s, because I did it, so you can kind of learn something. Or, what did I learn as a second lieutenant in Space Command that you probably will never learn because you'll never join the military or something, And now that I turned 30, I was like, my bio for a long time on Instagram was, I used to shoot SpaceX rockets. Now I shoot cars and models. And that was a great bio, and it was fun. And that's what I did. I shot cars and models for like years. And then even my story highlights, it was like, a story highlight for just models, a story highlight for just cars. And then I looked at this and I thought again about what my roommate Mark said. I was like, if, Lewis Howes and Eric McManus and these people I look up to, or Tom Bilyeu, looked at my Instagram account, what would be their snap judgment of me? Am I somebody that's creating impact that they want to also align with and have in the same room? Or am I someone that they're like, oh, you're still 22 up here,
Yeah.
So I was like, oh man, I need to change this. So it was, I actually just left a conference that they did over at Mosaic in Hollywood, where Lewis Howes was talking about meeting Kobe. And it was such an impactful story, where he was like, he wanted Kobe on his podcast, and they told him, if you're gonna, or he said, don't hang up, to his like manager, I think, like, don't hang up until you get Kobe booked for like tomorrow, because if it doesn't happen tomorrow, it's never gonna happen. So somehow he arranged like an interview with Kobe like 24 hours after they like crossed paths, and they invited him wherever Kobe was working, and he had to show up like super early. And when he got there, he was like half sleep deprived, because he was like trying to piece together how he was going to interview him in the car ride over. And of course, I'm paraphrasing, I'm trying to tell this like from memory of hearing it one time. But he shows up, and there was like a guy like in this room, and Lewis was like getting his podcast set up and like ready to interview him and everything, and then didn't realize until he walked out that it was Kobe that was just in the room in like darkness in a corner, just like staring. And he found out that Kobe was just there visualizing the day. Like, he was just piecing together in his mind how the day was going to run, how he wanted it to go. And then the first thing he did was that podcast. And Lewis got into he was supposed to get like 10 or 15 minutes with him, and it ended up going really long because like he had a time constraint. And he said there was a famous rapper, I want to say it was Little John, somebody that was supposed to do something with Kobe like right after, who was just standing in the background like irritated, like ready, like come on. And everybody's like doing this and stuff, and Kobe looks at Lewis and he's like, take all the time you need, like, let's, and they just go into just talking about mindset and like how Kobe like lost his edge. And then he met this guy who's into creating alter egos. I forgot his name. He got to speak that day too, and he came up with Black Mamba and how that was like you want to talk about superheroes. This is like your inner superhero. So like, forget the Marvel movies. Like, you can create a version of you that you come up with. You can give them a name. For me, it's like my alter ego is Captain Collette. Like, that's the Air Force officer that has all the answers, that's, has their core values straight, that like, treats women really well, that like is always there for their friends, that shows up on time. That's Captain Collette. And then there's like me. And it's like, I can put on, I am Captain Collette when I, need to step up a little bit and do the right thing. So for Kobe, when he's Black Mamba, he's unstoppable basketball player, So the guy that came up with Black Mamba has glasses that are like non-prescription. And he talks about putting on these glasses. He's like, when these go on, I become, and he had like a name for it, but it was like his inner superhero.
Gotcha.
And you can't be that person all the time. He's like, you're like, they'll blend together. The whole point of it is for you to use it when you need it. And but once I heard Lewis tell his story about meeting Kobe, and just hearing like this morning in church, we were talking about iron sharpening iron, and like how you have to have people in your life that are going to like level you up. I was like, imagine having someone like Kobe in your life that is like constantly pushing so much harder than the best NBA players in the world, where he's on the court shooting his warm-ups longer and longer and longer, and other guys are like, you know, I'm warmed up, I'm good, and Kobe's like, I gotta shoot a couple more so you know I'm gonna outwork you, you know, and he's been caught doing that. And I'm like, imagine being around more people like that. I was like, I can't be the guy that shoots models and cars. That's not going to be my calling card. I'm going to be the guy that is living the best story possible. And people are like, I want to live a life like this, but not in a way where I'm like, hey, look at my life, you know, like a typical Instagram influencer or whatever, you know, look at all these fun, cool, free things I get. Like, no one can relate to that. So you said that you saw a video where I said, I want to teach you how I do these things. It's like, yeah, I'm doing cool stuff. And here's how you, 3 Series BMW owner in the middle of Minnesota, can live the exact same life if you just choose to do it. So 30 was a big birthday for me, because I was like, this is the rebrand of me. This is where Captain Collette becomes more of a part of my life, and I'm less of a walking meme TikToker, you know? Yeah.
Do you have a lot of people like that in your life that motivate you?
No. No, not directly in my life. And one of them is sitting to my left right now, but I've talked to her about it, and I'm like, there's not a lot of people like that are really cutting me down in a way that lets me grow, where they're like, hey man, like that video that you posted, like, you're better than that, or like that comment you made, you're better than that, or that thing you said to that person, you that's not you, you know, or you're on this pattern and you're built for more, or you have these gifts that you're not using. I have good people in my life, but there's not many of them. Corley's one, Mike and Julie from Longtail Rally are 2, and I try to keep people like that as close in my life as possible. But unfortunately in Los Angeles, there's just not many people like that, where you'll find plenty of good people, and you'll find people that you have fun with. But how many people do you know with Kobe's mindset?
For sure.
Hard to find.
Yeah, for
Hard to find. And that's why you talked about the hike car guy when we first came on, and Alex Warren. Those are mindsets where I'm like, you're almost like a Kobe of our generation, where it's like, you know, Kobe in the sense of like, Kobe is his own guy. No one will top that, you know, but like somebody that's like thinking at a level like way higher than average, and just taking risks and just doubling down on where they feel like they need to be to live their best life possible, where like, I want people like that in my orbit so that I can become more like them.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to find people like that.
Yeah,
especially when your goals and ambitions come further than just material objects.
Yeah, sure.
You know, so when you got your R8, what was your idea of what it was going to be like, what it was going to feel like being an R8 owner, and what is it actually like?
Good question. Since I was 13, I played this game called Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2. It was my first video game. When my mom finally let me get something other than playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, you know, at my friend's house. They're like, all right, you can get and my aunt bought a GameCube and said you can pick one game, and I picked it because it had a bright yellow Lamborghini Murcielago on the front. And I played it one day, and I realized that day that I didn't love video games, I loved cars. And I was like, I'm going to own this car one day. Like, I was obsessed with that yellow V12, like that specific one. And my whole life from that age, I was like, whatever it takes to own a supercar. That is my biggest goal. There's going to be an Air Force career somewhere in there. I'm going to go to the University of North Carolina, which is a dream of mine. And I was going to be an Eagle Scout. Those are like the big milestones to hit. And I nailed all of them. And then the last one was I had to get that supercar before I turned 30. Because I wanted to know what it was like to have it in my 20s. And I remember when I started working at this shop called Voodoo Autosport. It's called GhostWorx now. We renamed. But I remember I started working there, and they're like, well, we need a shop car. If you buy the car, we'll help you work on it. You know, just you make the payments, you do the insurance. For the record, from the day I bought it, I'm the only one making the insurance payments, and it's all in my name. My parents didn't co-sign. I did it all through USAA. Thanks to my service in the military, I was able to get a car loan for something like way outside of my tax bracket. And I went and bought it. And Corley actually went and came to pick it up with me. We flew out to Oklahoma City.
Oh, wow.
And I bought it sight unseen. Like, I sent them the money, and I didn't get to test it. I had never driven a V10 R8 in my life. And I was like, this is the car, you know, because like obviously I can't get a Murcielago yet. That can't be your first supercar.
Yeah.
This is the world's cheapest supercar. It's like a 10-year-old, you know, R8. So with 69,000 miles on it. And I remember the day that I picked it up, like they dropped me off and it was just me. Corley was flying in, so she was behind me a couple hours. But I remember looking at it in the parking lot and like, that's mine. You know, 13-year-old me was like right there, and I was like, we did it, you know. And I remember getting in it, starting it for the first time, and like I was so ignorant to like cars at the time, like I didn't know that like it needs to cold start, so I started it and I just started revving it right away. I didn't care about anything. I was just like, oh my god, it sounds so good. And like I never heard like a V10 R8 before, and I was like, this is my car. So I'd been clowned for having a V6 Mustang for so many years because I bought the car I could afford. I couldn't afford a V8, you know. Like I moved to LA a month in, the wheel flew off the car I had and it got totaled, and I had 15 grand to my name after the insurance check came to buy a car, and I spent all 15 on it on a V6 Roush Mustang. And I made that unique. I made it unique with like a wrap and a supercharger and stuff, but like I held on to it for years when I could have upgraded to a V8 despite so many comments telling me like, why don't you have a V8, why don't you know. And then it was like, I got the last lap because I got a V10. And then I remember I drove it straight to Cracker Barrel to go get my first meal in my R8, and I was playing All Star by Smash Mouth on the radio, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm living out my childhood dream, and it's everything I wanted it to be and more.
Oh shit, the Shrek song?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I listened to that song. To me, it's the Rolling Rink when you were 7 song. You know, like that song came out like, everybody, let's go. You know, you got on the little cosmic disco ball and you do the Rolling Rink. That's when All Star would play. And actually, funny story, I got to shoot a video for those guys when I was in college because they were coming in town, and I asked to film a music video for them, and they said yes.
Oh,
and
wow.
Right before we started shooting, the lead singer, who I think passed away this past year or like recently.
That's right.
Yeah. Peace, and I looked at him and I was like, hey man, I just want to let you know, like I used to listen to the All Star when I was like a kid in like the Rolling Ring, and it is so cool to be like in college now getting to do a video for you guys. It's like, thanks for making me feel super old. My bad. But yeah, dude, like there's still a little kid inside of me, even though I'm like trying to, you know, find this new brand of like what turning 30 looks like, and then switching from like, you know, being an entertainer and memes to like creating real impact and leveraging all this knowledge I have from this Air Force career. There's still a kid in me that will never die, and that's the kid that, you know, drives their supercar to Cracker Barrel playing All Star.
That kid should never die, dude.
It shouldn't.
You know, that kid is what represents like creativity and real happiness.
Yeah.
You know, when you didn't have the world on your shoulders, when you didn't have these bills, these loans, these problems.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Life doesn't have to be like that. Life is like that because that's just the way society is, but it doesn't have to be like that, you know? Like I was saying before, you can make it whatever you want. And then when you're saying, you know, you're looking at 30 as this like milestone and you're having these conflictions inside, it's kind of like, it's funny to me because I'm gonna be 39 in April.
Dang.
And I'm looking
I would have guessed
you
were closer to my age.
Yeah, I'm looking at you like 30, bro. You're barely getting started, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, if you were gonna tell me in the past, like, dude, when you're 40 now is not 40 when my parents were 40.
Yeah.
They were giving up, done. This is what life was. They didn't have anything to do. You know, they didn't have all the things that we have that can bring them, like, make them feel like a kid again.
Yes.
You know? And the way that I look at it, bro, is if you have everything taken care of, if all your ducks are in a row, like, who cares? Act how you want, do what you want, like, be who you want, because like if that makes you happy, then that's all that matters. You know, having all these outside opinions and I don't know what this person will think if I do this or that, like, what does that person really matter? When I'm out cutting the lawn, they're not around. They're not helping me out. You know, when tragedy's happening, they're not calling me. When I'm picking up my phone because I have a window to have dinner with a friend or something, I wouldn't even think about calling them. So their opinions just don't matter at all, you know. But those internal conflicts that you're gonna have, and it's probably gonna start to happen a lot more now because, you know, I've hit this 30. But just take it from me, bro. Like, It's just another day.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's just about how you feel inside. I know dudes that are my age and you're like, damn, you're 50, bro.
Yeah.
You know, you've given up. You're not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is what life is.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that it's not like that.
Yeah.
You know, life is literally what you make it and what you want to do. Second part of that question. How do you feel now after owning the car? What has become of that? What is like your realization?
I would say the mindset has changed. So when I first got the car, it's like, boom, we got it. It's like, cool. Now what? You know, do I go after like another car? Like what's the next goal? Like since I was a kid, this was the thing. And now I have the thing. I had to grow up mentally, financially to afford it, because making the payments is one thing, modding it and fixing it are another. And oh my God, was this car more expensive than I had ever dreamed. And like, I had a lot of people in my life, both of my parents included, saying like, do not buy this. This is not the time. You're not financially equipped. You're not ready yet. But I was like, I was losing sleep. I was like, I gotta have it so bad. I was obsessed and I gotta have it now, but not in like a selfish, like materialistic, like I need this for, it was just like I was like, if I don't get it now, I'm going to just get stuck in like, it was just one of those things where it's like, if you ever like stood on like a high dive and you're just like, just go, you know, and then you feel yourself just falling, then you hit the water and then you're like, oh my God, that was so high up, and you're like way deep down, and then you get up to the top and you're like, okay, that was not that bad.
Yeah.
It was super scary, and I drowned for a second there, but like we're good now, you know, now we're treading water. That's kind of how buying the R8 felt, where like I got it and then the bank account took some of that money from me and I was like, oh boy. And then like right off the bat, it was like, you need a clutch. And I was like, how much are clutches? It's like $4,000. I was like, oh. And then it was like, and your suspension's blown, and suspension is like $3,000, and you need wheels, by the way, and the cheapest ones you can get, because nobody knows who you are, is like $2,500 for sponsored wheels. And I was like, whoa, this is getting really expensive really fast. And I was like freaking out, you know. But then that's when the people that I could count on stepped in. Or I had someone that's like my friend Callie, she's like, I got a connect to Bilstein, we'll get you sponsored. And then I had another friend that's like, I got a connect to Vossen, we'll get you helped out with wheels. And then the shop was like, oh, stuff breaks, we're gonna help you with that clutch, you know. And then Longtail Rally was like, oh, we want to put our banner on your car, like we can help you with some stuff. And it was just like, everybody wanted to see the kid that had this dream keep it. They wanted to see me win, because I wasn't just like a trust fund kid driving around a cool car to flex on people. I was a kid with a dream that got it, and no one wanted to see me lose it, you know? So like all these people came in until I could like, you know, then it was a little more comfortable, and then I've learned to work on it myself. I could cut down costs. I'd like build a bigger following. I could build better relationship. I have 17 sponsors on the car right now. So like I made it work, and I found ways to make more money too, because I was only making $5,000 a month before taxes. 10% of that goes to Mosaic the second it hits my bank account. So then I'm making $4,500. 20% of that goes to taxes. So then I'm down to what, $3,500? $1,300 of that goes to rent. So then leftover is everything else plus car. So like I was like, all right, well, I gotta find a way to make more money in other places. So I started, you know, doing brand deals. I started doing paid photo shoots. I started getting paid sponsorships, and started doing more social media management, picking up all this extra stuff and squeezing the most out of the day. Because I was like, I am not gonna be the guy that accomplishes their dreams and in the first year loses the thing that I got because I jumped the gun on it too soon, you know? So you hear these guys say like, oh, like go buy your dream car and then it changes your mindset and then you like level up. I don't think that's for everybody, but it was definitely true for me, because I pulled the trigger on something that was too soon and I figured it out and I made it work and I still have it, and it's not going anywhere, you know? Yeah,
I mean, you can always make it happen, you know, even if you feel it's not the right time. What I always say is like, you know, when people have kids and then they like tap into something and they're working super hard and it's like, I got to do everything for my kids. You have that in you, even when you don't have kids. Like that's still 100%. In you, but it's just that pressure's not on you that, oh, now I have a life that's worried about me. You know, nobody ever looks at themselves as the kid that they're trying to take care of.
That's a great perspective. To me, the R8 is like my kid. Like I'm not gonna have kids; it's never gonna happen. But like I will have my R8, my Murcielago. But like, you know, I know it's not the same as like a kid
for sure.
But you're right; it's in you. And it wasn't unlocked for me until I got the car, and I guarantee what you're saying, like it's not in a parent until they become a parent. Well, it's there, but they choose not to, you know. They choose not to like tap into that until the pressure's on, you know. And sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes you have to jump off the high dive to learn that you can swim.
Yeah,
you know,
for
like
sure.
you're not just you gotta take the risk.
But you could jump off that high dive whenever you want.
Whenever you want.
You don't have to wait till shit falls apart
Mm-hmm.
or till you're in an uncomfortable situation or until your rent goes up or what have you, you know? People have that. And I truly believe that everybody has that. And you just have to do these uncomfortable things. You have to put yourself in these situations in order to level up, because then it starts to make you realize like the flaws in your way of thinking. You know, it's like there's that 75 hard challenge.
I've done it.
You have?
Yeah.
Awesome, dude.
Emphasis on the hard.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
very hard. But it's like I talk to people about it and like I can't drink a gallon of water a day, and I'm like, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
No, I can't because of this or because of that, or you're not supposed to work out more than 4 days a week, or you got to take a rest day or something. And I'm like, you sound like a real pussy right now, you know, and you feel comfortable like saying this out loud. This is not just a thing that you're thinking in your head. Like you have the confidence to say it out loud.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no wonder people aren't making their goals happen.
Yeah.
Because this is who you have driving your machine.
Yeah.
Like if you think of your body as like a machine, as a vessel, you're the driver. No, I can't do that. I can't do. Oh yeah, but you could kick it with your homies for 4 hours every day and then belittle you, and then you get drunk and you're smoking and you're eating like shit and you feel like shit the next morning. And you got to go to a job that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
You do. What about that?
Yeah.
Then you know. But it's just like I've been on this path for a while, and one thing that I have come to the conclusion of is a lot of people don't want to hear these things.
Yeah.
And
because it requires change.
Of course.
Change requires effort.
And it requires looking within and looking at the flaws that you have within yourself and how you maneuver through life. And if there's that voice that's inside of everybody. There's that bitch voice and that boss voice, you know? And then that bitch voice is so loud, and you think and you justify every thought that bitch voice has, and you're like, no, that's why I can't do that.
Yeah.
I have bad knees. What am I going to do? I can't do 2 workouts a day because I have bad knees, you know? And the other voice is like, well, you don't have to do running. Your arms are working. Shut up, you know? And that's that voice that everybody just has. And once you start to silence that voice, and once you start to raise the voice of the boss voice, you're like, I don't want to get up right now. I don't have to work for 2 hours. But I know if I go for this 20-minute run, the rest of my day is going to be set.
Yeah,
because I'm not going to have the anxiety. Everything is going to be great. I'm going to be awake already, ready to go. I'm ready to attack the day, and it's going to be a beautiful day. You know, but people don't take control of their life, because if you're in control of your life, then you're the one that's fucking up. But if you don't have control of your life, you could blame it on everybody else. Blame it on my parents, blame it on my boss, blame it on my girlfriend, or what have you, you know? And it's a hard place to be in. But once you do it, like you can realize those goals like you did.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like everybody could have an R8. Everybody could be a Lambo owner. Like realistically, it's not that expensive as long as you figure out a way to make it happen.
I mean, it's expensive, but like how many people own R8s? Plenty.
Yeah.
How many Lambo owners do you know? I know plenty.
What makes them different?
Yeah, they've got it. They've got it, so it can be done. And even the things that can't be done, it's like, you ever watch David Goggins?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh my god, dude!
Goggins. Like
that kind of mindset where it's like if he's supposed to go on a run that day, and it's raining or like snowing, he's like, good.
Yeah.
Great, you know? And like when I was like in the Air Force, like there were times in like training where like they would have us do stuff where the conditions were like less favorable. Like it was already hard. And it's like I remember one time we did they were having us march, and they had us in formation, and they're like, okay, you've got like 5 minutes to grab everything. You know, you like your pillow, your blankets, all of your uniforms, all of your equipment, your boots, your everything, and carry it all and be back in formation. 5 minutes, go. And then so I've got all my stuff, you know, and I'm carrying it. And then they're like, okay, now we're going to start marching laps around the base. And then they put us, you know, in marching columns, and then they started having us go around the base. And as I'm carrying everything, they stack you by height. So short people are in the front, tall people are in the back, which I was literally dead last at 6'2". And if someone drops something, you can't stop. Someone else has to pick it up, which means the guy in the back, me, is picking up most of the stuff people are dropping. So by like halfway through this march, I've got like 3 rifles, I have like 4 pellets, I'm like so much junk, just like my hands are out like this. And then it starts to like thunder and lightning, and then it starts pouring rain. And I've got like my pressed like service dress, I have like my sheets and like all this stuff just getting dumped on. And as I'm marching, I'm like, well, at this point, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's like, yeah, it's bad, but like, this is like, it's hardening you for sure. But like, it's like, there's some things like that in life where it's like, yeah, it's like, it's getting pretty bad, but it's like, great. That's good. Because now I am equipped to march circles carrying other people's stuff in a thunderstorm versus just marching.
For sure.
And I was listening to an interview with a neuroscientist is the right term, and David Goggins, and he was talking about a part of your brain, and I am not going to remember the scientific name, but there is a physical space in your brain that grows when you do things that you don't want to do. And the more that you use it, just like a muscle, that part gets bigger and it becomes easier to do things you don't want to do, and vice versa. If you create habits or you frequently say, that's hard, I'm going to avoid it, that part of your brain gets smaller. And it's literally like, it's science. You cannot debate. It's not a mindset. It's a physical part of your brain. And then people were joking, like David Goggins' entire brain is that muscle,
Yeah, right.
But it's like he said it doesn't work on things that you actually like doing, even if it's a hard to do thing. So example, ice baths. I love them. Most people hate them. If I do an ice bath, that part of my brain does not grow. I still get the benefits of an ice bath, but that part of my brain doesn't grow. The average person that never does ice baths, that pushes themselves to do an ice bath, that part grows a little bit when they do it. Or if they hate it every single time they do it, it's going to grow every single time they do it. If you hate going to the gym, especially if you hate running, and you do those things regularly, not only do you get the benefits of doing the thing you don't want to do, but that part of your brain grows. So like I try to remind me, it's another good perspective. I try to remind myself, let's just say my roommates leave out dishes, which they do all the time.
Oh, shit.
And I have to be the one to clean them up. It's something I despise doing, but once I accomplish it, I get this dopamine hit of, this is done. And I also get to strengthen that part of my brain. And I remind myself, as I'm doing this thing I hate doing, something in my brain is physically growing. So not only did I complete the task, I am now 1% better than I was 10 minutes ago, So do all the things that like really suck, especially if they are they productive as well. Don't just create pain for yourself, But like, just know that as you're doing those things, like there is something in you biologically that is growing, which is a recent discovery.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I never heard about that. Like especially it being an actual part of your brain. I just thought it was just some Goggins stuff.
I mean, it is just Goggins. I mean, like he's got a point too. But like they had I remember a 2-star general looked at me right before I was still in the ROTC. I was going to commission, and he like made a joke about me in the crowd because I was like the tiniest kid in the crowd. He was like, "Yeah, I remember when I first joined, and I was like super tiny and scrawny, like that guy." And he pointed straight at me, and everybody busted out laughing. I was like, "Oh my god, dude!" I weighed like 130 pounds in like college, bro. I was tiny, and I was still like 6 feet tall. Like I was so skinny, dude. And then afterwards, he pulled me aside and he gave me a challenge coin with his 2-star on it, which if you meet an officer in the military, they're always supposed to carry challenge coins. He gave it to me and it said "embrace the suck" on it, which is not a phrase that he came up with, but it was one that he, uses like a mantra. And like, there's a lot of testament to that because from the minute we started basic training all the way through that military career, there were plenty of times when situation was not ideal and you just had to embrace the fact that, yeah, it's gonna rain during our march today and that's okay, or I have, like my muscles are sore today, but we have to run and is what it is, or I have way too much asked of me today that I have to accomplish and I am only one person. Embrace the suck, because when you're on the other side of that, you level up.
Yeah.
You level up.
Yeah, for sure. You want to come sit down?
No, I'm still waiting for this call.
Okay, whenever you want to sit down, you can just come back in. So tell me about the ice baths. Do you actually have like a tub or something? Or?
All my money's tied up in the R8, so I don't have anything. I have
you got
nothing.
A bathtub and
this is actually my entire outfit was Goodwill. I'm just kidding. No, I have just a regular bath and a gas station nearby that sells ice, $3 a bag.
Okay.
So like whenever I have like a really hard workout or going a long run, or sometimes you just need a reset, I'll dump all the bags in there, fill it up, and hop in for 15 minutes. And I always put the same thing on. I listen to whatever Mosaic posted that week, because when you sink down into cold water, You have to be 100% present in the moment. I don't care what you want to be distracted with. Your brain will not let you. Your brain's like, we're cold right now. We're very cold and this is painful. And if you can get your whole body, like I get up to like my neck in it and I like slide down, and I'm 6 feet tall. So that means either my legs go out or like my torso goes out. So I usually go this part out or this part in. And you keep it between, I think it's 8 and 15 minutes. Because you go more than 15 minutes, your body starts to try to heat itself up, and it starts reversing the benefits of an ice bath. Anything less than 8 minutes, and you're just like shocking your system with no benefits. So you stay in that range, and there's a science where like your, one of your organs like releases like proteins or something to like rebuild muscles faster. I forgot the exact thing, but I love it for a mind reset. So like if you're, I remember one time I had like a concert that I had to film. It was like a big concert. I forgot what it was. And I just finished a full workday and I was exhausted. Like my brain was fried. I was in sales and finance and I just been yelled at by a bunch of people all day. And like I had to go do this concert and I had like 1 hour to get ready. And I was like, I don't really have enough time to go to sleep. Like I'm so like scatterbrained. I need to focus and shift gears from finance and sales to filming concert, and creative brain and creative energy takes a lot of energy. How do I do this? So I filled up the bath, filled it up, threw a bunch of ice in it, and then I just sat in there for like 10 minutes, and nothing resets my brain faster than a 10-minute ice bath, where it grounds you. And then if double points if you're like me and you put in the Mosaic and you listen to something that's going to just be positive and like reaffirming, or something that sometimes I'll do like Joe Rogan and I'll learn. Sometimes I'll do Taylor Swift. I really like Taylor Swift. But like just something that just brings you down and slows you down. You can't use your phone while you're in an ice bath because your hands are underwater, and you can't get distracted because it fully puts you in the moment. So I'm a big fan of ice baths. I think it's great.
Is there a certain temperature?
As cold as you can get it, man.
Really?
Yeah, I turn it in just a little bit and I let it fill up with cold, and then you dump the ice in. And sometimes I'll throw salt in too to try to like lower the temperature even more. But it's as cold as I can get a bath with ice in it, you know?
Oh, wow. I need to try that, dude. I've never tried it.
Cold therapy, there's so many benefits to it. And it's one of those things where, like, even if I don't have time for an ice bath every day, I finish with a cold shower. So you take a quick shower, and then when you're done, I turn it all the way to cold. And I bought this shower head that changes colors based on the temperature. So it's like red when it's hot, it's blue when it's got a middle, and it's green when it's cold. So like once I try to take a whole blue shower if I can, because I don't want to like make it hot and like shock my body. And then when I'm ready, I'll turn it, and the second it turns green, I never delay. It's like green means go. You stand in the shower and you got to count down from 10 and do 10 seconds of cold water, which is harder than it sounds. You get used to it over time. But you have to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, and you put your body into the parasympathetic, whichever one is not fight or flight, because you go into fight or flight when you get in the cold, and you have to bring it back by doing nose in, mouth out, and it chills your body out. And every time, by the time I get to 1 and 0, I can stand in there as long as I want, because it's just like your body gets
so crazy that you say that, dude. Like for the last at least 2 years. Every time I'm finished showering, I turn it to the coldest, and I say 5 things that I'm grateful for.
I love that. Yeah.
And I can't think of it while the water's changing. It has to be cold.
I love
that. So even if I think I'm already trying to think of things.
Yeah.
Like I'm grateful for my family or whatever.
Yeah.
Right when I get to it, can't be grateful for that. I have to think of 5 new things as soon as it gets cold.
Yeah.
You know, and then it just really makes me think about what really matters to me. What are the things that matter to me? Yeah. And some days it's like, you know, I'm thankful for my family. Yeah. I'm thankful for my business, my friends, or what have you. And some days it's like, I'm thankful for my limbs.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for this cold water. I'm thankful for this shower. And after doing those things, it's just like, it helps me out in some sort of way. You know, it helps me out, remind myself that like, not everything is going to be comfortable. Yeah. Even if it can be comfortable, I don't want it to be comfortable all the time. Just because I know that with that uncomfortable feeling, there's so much success after that. Yeah. Just like after you go for a run. Yeah. It's like, damn, I feel amazing now. Because when I don't do that stuff, I don't feel good.
Same.
Dude.
Yeah.
I don't feel good.
It's hard to do that. Choose your hard, right? Choose your hard.
For sure. Because one hard is physically hard. And the other hard is mentally. It's like
regret.
Oh,
resentment.
Dude. It's like, why did my wife talk to me like that? Does she not like me? Do I like her more than... all my insecurities and analyzing things just comes to a fucking head, you know, and I just start thinking the worst kind of thoughts, you know, and I feel like that's inside of me is like, you need to get this out. You need to get this bitch out right now, and you need to go do something. You need to go for a run or whatever it is. You just need to go do something, because this energy that you have built up is going to manifest itself in some sort of way. And it's either going to be you're going to feel great after this little hardship that you're going to put yourself through, or you're going to be having these crazy ass thoughts. You know, and I don't know if everybody feels like that, but I just know that that's the way that I'm wired up.
Yeah. We got to process it some way. Question, do you ever close your eyes when you're in the cold water?
No.
Try it. It's, to me, in my opinion, it makes it like 10 times worse.
Oh, really?
It feels like death. Like the first couple seconds when you make, or if you close your eyes, like as you're getting in an ice bath, either one, it literally, I was like, this must be what hell feels like. It is just like, because the water's all around you, it's all over your ears, you can't really hear anything, you can't see anything, and it's cold and painful. And I'm like, wow, it is scary how fast you can go from, you know, a place of like security and perfect, like, you know, nothing's wrong when it's like hot water coming, you're standing in your shower, it's like, oh, it's good. And then it's cold death. And like something I've been trying recently is you put your like shampoo or whatever in you're doing, and then while you do soap everywhere else, do it with your eyes closed. Because like while I'm doing it the whole time, I'm thinking, I'm like, what would life be like if I was blind? For sure. Because my favorite sense is my sense of sight. And I'm like, I am so glad that I will open my eyes after this and I still have them. And I've been doing that a lot every day for the last several weeks. And it's like, even just that one little thing where it's like, how often do you take sight for granted, you know? Yeah. And then you double down on it and you get in the cold water and close your eyes again, and then let it, and then the sound is gone in the eyes and everything, and then you're just like, it's just you. And there's been a couple times where like, I'll like, maybe something bad happened that day, or someone did something sideways or whatever it was, and I'm still holding on to it. When you're in the shower, I love it because there's no phone to distract you. You can't play music. There's nothing that can drown out your thoughts. So it's just you and your thoughts. And it's another reason why I like surfing. But when you do the cold part of the shower, if you're still juggling those hateful thoughts, they sting a lot more when you become physically uncomfortable. And it's almost like they come out with the cold water, because like when I jump in the cold water, if I'm still, you know, winning fake arguments in my head with that person today, you know, you feel extra stupid, and it just, I can't describe, it just stings when the cold water hits, and you're like, okay, fine, I don't care about that anymore. You know, this hurts more. And then it goes away. Like I said, 9 seconds is all it takes. And then you're fine. If you do the breathing thing, you have to do the breathing thing.
Have you ever thought about, if somebody was born blind, how do they dream?
I've heard, like, I saw like TikToks where it's like blind people don't see blackness and they don't see darkness or something. So like I can't fathom it. Yeah. One of the guys in my Boy Scout troop when I was really young was blind. So like I got to spend a lot of time around someone who was blind when I was young. And that was interesting to me, because I was just like, I always thought about that. I was like I can't imagine a day where like, one, like if you could see and then you can't, or two, what does it look like to not ever have sight? Like, mind-blowing, dude. Like,
that has to be easier to be born blind than to be 20 and then something happens, and then you're blind, because then you're just, I don't know. You know, because then you think about it like, well, at least I have 20 years of memories that I've seen. You know, but what if there's another sense that we don't even know that we have? And then in like 10 years, it comes out. You know, it's like, damn, remember when we couldn't light things on fire with our mind? What a loser.
Well, there's like, they say that like there's a lot of things, like certain wavelengths that you can't see. It's like we see like a very small percentage of what you could actually see. So yeah, there's like what's the movie where they talk about using 100% of your brain? Is it Lucy?
I think so, yeah.
Have you seen it?
Like Charlize Theron or something, or some other hot girl.
And Morgan Freeman is in it. Yeah. And he talks about, he's like, at this percentage you can do this, and this percentage you can do this. And then it's like, I think it was like at a certain percent, he's like, yeah, you can see like radio and TV or whatever, and like all these other frequencies, you can see them, you know? And then she talked about like being able to feel vibrations and like know like people's thoughts and stuff. Like she could as their neurons were passing thoughts, like she was like, yep, I know what you're thinking. Like that kind of stuff was like wild to me. It's like, you know, I enjoy movies like that, we were talking about how Hollywood movies suck. Like that movie's been out for several years now, and like I loved it because it reframed. Like there was some CGI and there was some superhero-esque stuff in it because in the end she like turns into a computer. It's like, but like I love the part of it that was like what happens when we start using more of our brain, and what I love the movies that like start to make you think differently. Like another one was the one with Will Smith where he like is a pickpocketer. Focus. You watch Focus?
No.
And he's talking about like priming people, and like you don't learn anything in a superhero movie. Like you learn about priming in Focus, where he made like a bet with this high roller guy in like a sports arena, and he was like, pick any player's jersey down there, and then she's gonna guess the number. And if she guesses right, it was like they had like millions on the line or whatever. And he was like, "You're crazy. Like the odds of you, getting this right are like none. So I'm in." But what he didn't know, and they explained in the movie, and this isn't like a big part of the movie, just one scene. They had primed him all day, so like every there were like patterns in the floor that said, I think the number he picked was like 77. What's the number? I don't know if I think it's Mandarin. Wu. Is it 7? So like I can't remember what it was, but like they're playing the song. The devil something. Anyway, they say woo woo in the song all day, and woo woo is a number in another language for whatever it was. Okay. 7. We'll just say 7.
Got it.
And then like the pin on like the driver said 7, and then like the pattern in like a pocket square was like 7s, and then like his seat and like all these things that they had done. So when he looks around the stadium, the number that he thinks that his brain thinks is impulse, but it's actually just been primed, he picks 77. And then because the girl picking had been primed in a similar way, she also picked the same number. So it was like the odds of them picking the number he wanted were actually very high because he'd been primed to think that, And then it goes back to you are very much a product of your surroundings and your environment. So if you're not growing, odds are is either the people you're with are not helping you grow, the environment you're with is not going to help you grow. But I love Focus, and I love Will Smith, and like movies that teach you things like that, like the mindset, priming.
You know what's a great movie that I've watched recently? Interstellar.
Oh yeah. I need to rewatch that one.
That movie's amazing, dude.
Because it was different.
Yeah.
It was so brilliant. It was a real story, and it was about like time and like how like love can transfer through like time and space. Like they took a really unique concept and built a movie around it. That's great Hollywood work.
For sure.
And then put a 10 out of 10 soundtrack on it,
It was a good soundtrack?
Yeah.
When you were talking about Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Yeah.
That's a great.
Oh my God, dude.
That's
yeah,
a great
dude. That is my
soundtrack.
gym playlist, dude. Yeah, No Cigar, dude.
Oh
I'm
my
hitting the
God,
PR for
dude.
sure on No Cigar, and like what is it? The Cyclone, and like shoot, dude, I got a
like
bunch of
Bad
those songs.
Religion.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
dude. I don't listen to any of that kind of music now, but every song on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, bro, I know oh my God, dude, I hear that stuff. Like you remember the days where like you're playing and like you're about to do some crazy stuff on the game, and you gotta keep switching until you're like, all right, this is the one.
Sure.
You switch through the tracks, and you're like, this is the one that I want.
That's skateboarding.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to trick. Mm-hmm. Like, if you have the right music going, you can be like, I'm gonna time this perfectly. So when that part of the song hits, is when I land.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, my guy Gabe that works here, when he's trying something, he's laser focused, and he'll be like, all right, let's go, boom, and then he'll do it.
Oh yeah.
It's so crazy how like everything is just lined up where it actually does mean something.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't know if I could do that if I didn't have my headphones on.
Oh yeah. You ever gone to the gym and forgot your headphones?
Oh dude,
bro, I'm going home.
I know, it just.
Oh my God.
So what do you listen to? What kind of music do you listen to?
Taylor Swift. I was in the top like 5% listeners of Taylor Swift.
Oh shit.
I'm like a big Taylor Swift fan.
So what else did you? So that's the Spotify wrap up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What was on your Spotify wrap up?
Higher than Taylor Swift, who I think is my favorite artist of all time that will never be touched, is John Bellion.
Jon Bellion.
Bellion is the greatest of all time.
Oh, wow. What kind of music is that?
I don't even know what genre to put him in. He is so gifted. He's writing for all the big artists you listen to on the radio right now, like the Jonas Brothers or was it Rihanna and like all these others. He's writing their music. He's like producing it and stuff, but he's like doing it behind, like you wouldn't know it's him, you know? And like they're just racking up Grammys. And like the dude, I think he has 5 albums out, but he hasn't released an album in like forever. It's been like years. But he's been like the Jonas Brothers work he just did just like took off. But like the guy, just like watch interviews with him, man. Like his mindset is exactly just wonderful. Like one of his albums is called Beautiful Mind, and he his music, each song is about a different like I don't like music these days. Like they're just like the party's here, yeah, like whatever. It's just like frivolous nonsense, and like sometimes got a catchy beat, and it's like all right, cool, you know. But like you'll take a Jon Bellion song like Simple and Sweet. It's like trying to date a girl, and it's like, you know, we'll take it slow, and if it doesn't work out, that's okay, but if it does, you know. And then there's one called Ma's Joint where he's talking about how his mom has to take care of her mom when she like becomes sick. And then he has a song called Blue. The acoustic version of Blue is probably one of my favorite, and he's just like talking about like basically just being in love with this woman. And like there's another one of my favorites is Conversations with My Wife, where he's like, would you love me if I threw away the phone and the social media and everything and the records and all that, and it's just us, and we just us in real life, you know. His lyrics are just amazing. JT is about like having not just, he says it's like not Justin Timberlake and like not John Travolta, like Bellion's talking about like writing a song a day, and then he made it, and he's like, now I'm like in this position where like my career has taken off, and it's just as sweet as we wanted it to be, but we put in the hours, you know, like music with real meaning and passion in it. And if you watch like the behind the scenes of him like writing some of these records, you're like, dude, this guy, I wish he did like public speaking too, but like he even says like, and I wanted so bad to say one of the most underrated artists. He's like, don't call me underrated. Like he's like, I'm in it for the music. I'm in it for the love. I don't care how famous I get. And you can really tell it, because nobody drops that many bangers and then goes off the grid for years to write other people's music, you know, unless they really just love the music.
Yeah.
Jon Bellion is just.
Let me look it up, dude.
Incredible,
I love music. That's
dude.
my thing.
He's really good. He's always my number one artist when I listen to, because when I get in flow states, which if you don't know what flow state is, it's basically where like time and space aren't real. You forget you're hungry, you forget you have to go to the bathroom, you forget you know what's got to get done tomorrow. You don't care, you're just focused on whatever it is you're doing. So like right now we're in a flow state. I have no idea how much time has passed. I love podcasts, I love interviews, you know. If you're skateboarding, you're definitely in a flow state. If you're in the gym, for a lot of people, you get in that flow state. And like I love creating flow states for myself, and it's a place where you can, I mean, it's definitely a place of creativity. But when I get in a flow state, whether I'm like, you know, working on a project, most of the time it's like editing photos or something like that, I always turn on Jon Bellion, and it's like he's playing in the background. And you asked me in the beginning of the interview, like, do you have a lot of people in your life that are of like that high level iron sharpening iron? And I said no, because they're not. A lot of the people that shape me are not physically in my life. Jon Bellion has definitely had a major impact on how I live my life, and I've never met the guy. What would I do to like just have an hour just to pick, you know, just to talk to that guy? I think I joke about like Taylor Swift, but like I look up to Taylor Swift a lot, and how she carries herself and how she just like doesn't let, you know, the media affect her, and like who has more hate in this world than like one of the biggest pop stars of our time. She has plenty of haters, and she just, you know, she does her own thing.
Shakes it off.
She has mastered her craft, you know, and she is just like taking it all the way to the bank, you know, because she is a billionaire now. And you can't touch her, and you can hate her all you want. It's like she's just doing her thing. And then, you know, guys like Tom Bilyeu who run Impact Theory, and he has like these incredible guests on his podcast where he talks about mindset and health and wellness. And it's like I consume so much of that type of content that those people affect me on a day-to-day basis, and half of them I've never met, you know.
So is that what your hat means? Taylor vision?
Taylor's version, yeah. So
or
like,
is that a version?
Yeah. So when like Taylor Swift re-released a lot of her albums, and she's going to re-release all of them to my knowledge. And if they say Taylor's version, that means she gets all the royalties. Because she had like that.
With Scooter Braun.
Yeah, it was like a whole deal where like all her music like was owned by other people or something like that. So basically, it says Taylor's version next to it. She owns it. And this is like it's just like a funny hat. That
Got you.
Yeah.
That's cool. You made that?
No, I bought it off like Etsy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
Got you. Her album Fearless is definitely one of my favorite albums.
Yeah. That's like OG too. Man.
Yeah,
that's
for
like way
sure.
back.
There's the song. Oh my god, I have to actually show you.
Who's your favorite artist?
My favorite artist probably gonna be Drake.
Drake, nice.
Yeah. Because if you're asking me to pick my favorite, it has to cover so many different areas, you know. So if you're telling me you have to pick your favorite artist, that's the only one that you're gonna listen to forever. It's gonna be Drake because he has so many different variations that he can be. What if one day I'm chilling on Mars and I don't want to listen to rock and roll? If I were to say like the Used self-title,
Yeah.
I'm not in a rock and roll mood today.
Yeah, exactly.
With Drake,
yeah.
I'm not in a loving mood today.
Yeah,
okay, let's put on some other stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love
point.
Drake. Where the fuck is? Okay, so it's from Fearless, and it's the song that she's singing about her dad. The best day. Watch.
I'm like I should like know more as a Swiftie.
This is like it's like one of the last songs on the album. Let me see.
As Corley comes back in, why are you guys playing Taylor Swift?
Have you ever heard this song?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God.
I'm sure it's because a lot of times I'll just push Taylor Swift and it just plays.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. I like a lot of it is background music for me. I know like the 1989 songs really well,
Okay.
like Red and like some of her newer stuff and everything. But
so this was her earlier
now I gotta go
album,
listen to that
but
album.
That song is The Best Day.
Yeah.
And it's about her dad, and her dad like being her hero and like helping her through, you know, tough situations.
Yeah.
And like that song, it reminds me of my daughter so much. Just the way that she like talks about him, and you know, he helps her through hard situations about like friends being mean to her, things like that.
Yeah.
Even before I had my daughter, that was like that. I would want somebody to look at me.
Do you feel like your daughter sees you that way?
Oh my God, so much.
How old is she?
She's gonna be 3 in January.
Oh, that's a little kid.
Yeah, dude, she is the best, and every day is just something. She just surprises me so much. It's like that song gets me emotional, and like Tiny Dancer from Elton John.
Oh
yeah. And that one more so because like from the movie Almost Famous. You ever seen Almost Famous? My God, that's such an amazing movie. Almost Famous. It's about it takes place in maybe like the 60s, when, you know, rock was huge and going on tour and stuff like that. And some kid from a small town, he's young kid, maybe like 15 or so, and he wants to become a writer. And he ends up getting a gig with Rolling Stone magazine, or like cool. Spin magazine or something like that. So he goes on tour with the band and writes like the best article ever. And it's that song's in that movie, and I've always had a connection to it. And then that's like my Tiny Dancer.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's
Is she old enough to dance yet? Can you dance at 3?
Yeah,
like
she
a little
can
bit.
dance.
Yeah.
She got her little moves.
Nice.
It's nothing that's it's always evolving.
Yeah.
Sometimes there'll be a hand, a kick,
Yeah.
something like that. Kids are amazing, man.
Yeah.
You know, I love it. My son is just everything, dude. I tell him, like, I wish that I was your age so you could be my best friend, so we could like hang out together.
Well, it sounds like you already do on the skate park.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
still get to do it. Like I said, like how many dads out there are like, like you said, your son is
he's 16.
Oh, he's 16 now.
He's 16 now.
And you still like skate and stuff?
Yeah. So he likes skating.
Okay.
Snowboarding we got into last year. He's so into it. He actually just went like a couple weekends ago. We went to Big Bear.
Yeah.
And surfing. He's been surfing
Nice.
a lot. Yeah, we got him a surfboard for Christmas. He was so stoked, man. And yeah, he's very athletic. He plays soccer. He's been playing since he was a child, and he plays for like a club team. And this is his last year, because once you get to that age where you're late in your high school career, you like either move on to play for college, or kind of just that's the end of the road right there.
I mean, how many dads do you know that are like, yeah, me and my 16-year-old, like, you know, hang out? Like how many 16-year-olds do you know that are like, yeah, can my dad come? Like, almost none of them. And like 13, definitely not 16. And I remember when I was around 13 in Boy Scouts, and like my dad was like, he was the man with all the answers. Like he was, and I'm sure your son looks at you the same way if he lets you come to the skate park with him. Yeah. You know, like like you are, whether he says it or not, most likely his best friend. Cause that's kind of how I saw my dad. And especially like early years when I was doing the Boy Scout thing, and like, I was like a lot smaller, just like physically smaller than a lot of other guys. And I was just like a little different. Like I feel like a lot of the kids my age at that time were just there to just like goof off, and it was like a daycare service for them almost, you know. It was like their parents could just like dump them off or whatever. And that was like through Cub Scouts. And like Boy Scouts, I went into a troop led by a Vietnam vet who ran it like a little military unit, and ironically produced a lot of future military officers, guys from like academies and stuff. And like, you know, we're holding shotguns as like 12-year-olds, like learning how to shoot and like, you know, survival tactics and all this stuff. And but my dad was very involved in that growing up. And I remember this time when I was in day camp, it was like the first time when I had to go from more than just like a little 2-day camp out. This was like a 7-day deal. I don't know exactly what age I was. I got Eagle Scout when I was 13, which was like a record. And it was before I got Eagle. So I was younger than 13. Okay. And it was going horribly for me because like I was already like a little nervous to like spend a week away from my parents, which is like a big deal. And you're like, you know,
at that age for sure.
What is it? 11, 10, whatever I was.
Oh my God, yeah, that's very young.
I remember like already kind of nervous, and I think it was like 2 or 3 days in, and like it was raining so much, and I was like walking around with my little poncho in the rain, because you do these merit badges, and they're spread around all over the camp, and you have to go to these classes at certain times, and they teach you stuff like first aid and life saving and knot tying and all this stuff that really came into use as an adult. And I was on my way to one of the courses, and there's this big hill that like leads down into it, and I slip at the top of the hill because it's all covered in mud in the rain, and I fall all the way down to the bottom of the hill, covered in mud, poncho ripped open, it's pouring rain, I'm cold, I'm wet, I'm miserable. I'm pretty sure I started crying, you know. I was just like, you know, I didn't have the Goggins mindset yet. I'm like, this is the worst. Everything is coming apart for me, and I was lost. And I remember walking around, and I passed them, I'm like, do you know where this is? And they're like, oh yeah, it's like this way. And I was like, this is literally the worst day ever. And it was about halfway through the camp, and all I knew was, I was like, I just want to go home, or I want to see my dad. Like, I love my mom, and my mom and I are very close, but like my dad was the guy that like if stuff hits the fan, he's the first call still, you know. And I sit down in this little like class. I was like towards the back. I could like barely hear what they were saying. There were probably like 50 guys sitting in these little like wooden bleacher things under some tarps, and like rain was coming through a lot of it, and I was miserable. Like no whatever it was, age 11-year-old, we'll call it 11, like no 11-year-old should sit covered in mud, soaking wet in the middle of the woods halfway through a camp that they hate and just be expected to just be mentally tough enough to get through it, you know? Sure. Like I was just falling apart. And the reason my dad wasn't there was, at the time, he was a rescue helicopter pilot, which is a pretty freaking cool job for a dad. Like, you talk about something to look up to. Like, he would fly over my school sometimes real low in this bright red helicopter, and, you know, give me the aviators and everything. And I'm like, hey. And he'd take off, or I would play Little League. I was always in the outfield because I sucked at sports, and he would hover over, like, right field, you know, and people are like, man, who is that? And I'm like, oh, it's just, you know, Will's dad, you know, doing this thing with a rescue helicopter. Has no rules. He can fly as low as he wants. And so he was off doing the rescue helicopter pilot thing that week, and that's why he couldn't come. And I was like, man, I wish he could have come to my first day camp. And I will never forget the feeling of sitting there just rock bottom misery, and this set of camouflage pants like right next to me, and I look up, and it was my dad.
Oh,
and I was like, what are you doing here? And he was like, the aircraft had a mechanical, it's down for like 1 day, so I drove up here just to see you for like 1 day. And I was like, oh my God, like there could have never been a better time for me to like have you here. And I just remember him being there for 1 day, which some of the other guys, this was before I found the better troop, like the military like troop. This was a troop of goofballs, and like the kids were all like, the older guys were not mentoring the younger guys like they should.
Gotcha.
They were more of like bullies, and like just stuff was going sideways everywhere. Even the adults of that troop were all just a bunch of nothings, you know, and like it was just not conducive for building future leaders. And my dad showed up. He fixed the kids that were causing a problem, set them all straight. You know, the adults that weren't being adults and setting the right example, set them all straight. You know, got me a new poncho. You know, got me some fresh socks. Everything. I didn't know this until later, but they were withholding the care package that my mom had sent me with like snacks and like a letter and stuff, which would have meant a lot to a kid at that age. Like halfway through, you know, and they withheld it because not all the kids had one. You know,
what the fuck?
Yeah, they like all the mail from home that had been sent to like the kids that were holding all of it because he didn't want them to get homesick. It was some dumb idea they had, but my dad got me that, you know, and then once he kind of set everything straight, you know, halfway through, I was like, I can make it the other half, you know. So like having a strong dad, and if you don't have a dad, just having someone, even if it's like me, like right now, these people that I look up to, even if they're not in your life, somebody that you can emulate and make similar decisions to is huge. And that's why now I'm so careful with the content that I consume and like what podcasts I choose to listen to, what, you know, people I follow. I know I got a lot of people that get really mad when I don't follow them back. And it's like, nothing against you, but like, you're not the Lewis Howes in my life. You're not the Tom Bilyeu of my life. You're not the Erwin McManus of my life. Therefore, I do like, you know, if I see you around, it's cool, but I need people that I can kind of point my sights at and be like, this is what I want to be like, because they're 10 levels ahead of me, you know. And I'm again, like what we talk about the hype cars and Alex Warren, I'm not looking to take anything from them. I'm not a clout chaser. I'm not a gold digger. I'm looking for your mindset. I want to just think and make decisions like you and have you, and as long as you're growing, you're going to stay in my circle, you know. But if you don't have like a dad or a father figure like I was lucky enough to have, I would say seek it in those areas. And that's why I also kind of rebranded when I turned 30, because I was like, can I be, you know, the Lewis Howes to another generation? Can I be, you know, the dad that shows up in camo pants figuratively to someone that's just like, they don't know how to navigate their life? And I'm like, maybe I learned something as an Air Force officer that can teach them something and make their life better, you know?
Yeah. So the field that you want to stay in is still going to be automotive?
I'm not pigeonholing myself to it. I think cars will always be part of it because I love cars, you know. That it's not going anywhere. And I'm definitely like laser focused on a Murcielago. But like I think the car industry is not a big enough industry for me to make real impact. Like we just said earlier, it's a small world. Like we have immediate mutual friends in the car scene that we already figured out, and this is the first day that we've met. So like, you know, the car scene's it's great, but it's very vain too. Like there's too many people in the car scene that are just in it for the flashy and for what they have and what you don't, unfortunately. And they're always trying to one up themselves and keep up with the Joneses, and I would say that's like the majority of people in the car scene, not just like the industry itself, but just like we'll call it like even just car meets and things like that. It's about what they have and what you don't. Some people are not like that, where they're just there to share it with others, or they're there to like help others get to where they're at. Not everybody's like that, but I would say the car scene's no longer like my number one focus like it was, you know, once I got the car, and then, you know, we built the brand over at GhostWorx, and, you know, we're rolling now. It's like, okay, well, what's the next step? And I think the next step is public speaking.
Got you. So tell me some people in the automotive community that you would vibe with and that are kind of like...
Don't even have to think about it. Stradman.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. He's a good one. Life Apollos is a really good one.
Shit.
Other people that I've come in contact with that I really...
Stradman. Have you met him before?
He and I are friends, He was one of the first people to kind of put the YouTube seed in and maybe like, maybe this is something I could try. I was living out in Utah as a Air Force officer for the combat cam unit out there, and James was also out in Utah, and there was only one shop that worked on Lamborghinis, and it was like a mile from my house. It's where I took my Mustang to get it worked on, and we crossed paths and became friends.
Interesting.
He's got a phenomenal mindset. He's doing everything right. I would say definitely I want to do like my own thing, like have like my own brand and like make my own choices, but like his mindset, his core values, how he carries himself, how he even responds to haters, you know, like you don't see him getting in like stupid screaming matches with people or comment wars.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
You know, he's focused and he's like, hello, I've got a Koenigsegg, you know, I'm killing it, I'm doing my thing, I stay true to myself. Like he's a great example to follow. And then, like I said, Life Apollos as well. Like I managed him for like a year during COVID, and we became good friends and get to talk to him like off the YouTube channel and just learn more about like how he built, you know, his brand and how he navigates this fine line of, you know, not stirring up drama, but just like reporting the news and being like a neutral take on things. And people really like that guy. And, you know,
what is his name?
Life Apollos. He's just an automotive creator. So he reports on supercar community news.
I'm not familiar.
Other people.
What's his Instagram?
Life Apollos. It might have some underscores.
Oh, Life of Apollos.
Yeah.
Okay.
His name's Aaron. Great dude. Other people in the car scene that I enjoy. I don't really watch YouTube anymore, so it's like hard for me to like pick a YouTuber because like if I watch YouTube, it's gonna be something like this.
Got you.
I'm not watching like a vlog. I cannot tell you the last time that I sat down and watched. It would have probably been Whistling Diesel, ironically. I watched him.
Shout out to him.
I watched him drive a tank through like another car, and I was like, "Oh, that's crazy." But I'm not like, and my roommate like had it on. Like, I'm not logging on YouTube to like watch anyone's vlogs.
Yeah.
I just don't have time for it.
When you did, who was it?
It was mostly Life Apollos. A lot of him, a lot of Stradman in his early years, and that is pretty much all that comes to mind. I'm trying to think if there's anyone out there that I would like follow.
You know who I love is the guys over at Throttle.
I've heard of these guys. Yeah,
great dudes, man. Yeah. Mickey from Throttle. He's been in the community for a long time. I think he's about 42, 43. He used to work for Falcon. He's just been in the community forever, and he's one of the main guys over at Throttle. Him, Evan, Ricky, like great dudes. And that their whole story about how they started, insane, bro. I think they started maybe in like 2015 or something like that, but they recently just got acquired by Wheel Pros.
Oh yeah.
Who bought Hoonigan.
Wheel Pros is big. Yeah. They bought Hoonigan too.
Which I believe Wheel Pros changed their name to Hoonigan. I don't even think they're Wheel Pros.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So like Hoonigan is out of here. Not what it was.
Yeah.
It's a new entity now.
I've heard it's getting a little more corporate.
Yeah, because like rest in peace Ken Block. He passed away, and then you start to see like a lot of the people that were huge parts of Hoonigan leave. John Aderi Nads, he left. We actually had him on the podcast.
Yeah.
And then even what the hell is the other guy's name? The other owner
in Hoonigan?
Yeah, Brian Scotto.
Yeah.
Him and Ken Block were the ones that started it.
Yeah.
And he just left. Maybe in the last month or two.
Really? Dude, I just saw him because they premiered the latest Electricana down in
That's right.
Costa Mesa.
Okay.
Were you there?
No. I had some buddies.
Yeah, they premiered it, and he did like a little speech, and I bought a Ken Block print that Larry Chen took. And
okay.
And they both signed it.
Got you. Yeah, he left.
Wild.
You know, so all these Vin left.
No.
Yeah.
This is like news to me, man.
So they all left. A few other guys left.
Do you think it's because of the rebrand, or is it just
it
like
has
out
to
of
be.
like?
It has to be
because I don't know enough about it to like have a take, but I have heard like loose opinions that it's just becoming corporate and it's like not the same, you know. But is it not the same because Wheel Pros bought it, or is it not the same because Ken's not in it, you know?
I don't know which came first.
Yeah.
I don't know if the company was sold when Ken was still around.
I want to say it wasn't. I want to think that.
I don't remember. I do remember hearing that they have been sold to Wheel Pros a while ago. I don't know. I mean, Ken passed away. It was just a year ago, not long ago. I don't know what the timeline was, but it has to be. Say if Downstar got to a point where some bigger company wanted to acquire it, it wouldn't be the same. You know, I run this company as like, it's a reflection of me. The way that I market, the way that I make videos, the way that I look at everything, it represents me and my culture. Now, if I'm out of the equation, I don't know that somebody's going to be guessing on what I would post or how I would market or whatever, and that's their interpretation of who I am, and it would definitely change. But they still got like Gary King Jr. He's over there. He's actually our next episode that we're going to drop on the podcast. I had him on, and it's cool to have somebody like that because he's motivated and he's ready to go to the next level, and it's cool that like everything's getting shook up, so kind of everybody that had seniority is going to be gone. So now he's been there for a while. I think maybe not super long, as long as the other guys, but he's been there long enough where now that they're gone, maybe he's gonna fill in their shoes or whatever it becomes, you know. But it's like everything changes. There's a time where everybody is the man. They're the peak. This is it. Like Hoonigan was that, bro, and it really was. I mean, up to last year, you know, at SEMA, like it was insane. Dude, have you ever been to SEMA?
My car was in SEMA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
It was the Bill Stein car. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sick. So it's like they had the boneyard right there, and it's just it's crazy, dude. And you're seeing so many internet celebrities there, and it's just.
But SEMA's not the same that it used to be either.
I mean, everything isn't, you know, and the hard thing about it is recognizing when you're in that. When you're in the middle of that tornado and you're realizing like, dude, what the fuck is going on right now? Because usually it's like when you're outside of it and you're like, damn, that was crazy. You know? And you try to replicate that and try to make it happen again. But like you have to realize when you're in the middle of it. And even with SEMA, like there have been times that I've been at SEMA and it's just like I'm going through the motions. It's November. This is what I do. We're at Tao. It's the Honda party. This is just you know, hanging out with buddies. Not realizing that like some of these guys aren't going to work for the companies anymore.
Or the experience may not be the same.
Whatever. You know. And then you fast forward a few years and you're like, man,
those were the good old days.
It's not the same. But the good old days still exist. There's people right now that are in the middle of their good old days. Maybe they're not going to be the same good old days that we had, but it's like the feeling is the same. And when I got into Hondas, I got in about 2007. 2001, that was when it was like the explosion. You know? So I talked to somebody from that era. Them looking at what we have going on now, or what we had going on when I started 2007, you're never gonna experience. You're never gonna experience Nopi. You're never gonna experience these street racing and that. I get it. But you're never going to experience, I can build this car as long as I have this $10,000 budget. I could order all these parts and build this car in the weekend while you guys are turning cams and trying to file it or whatever the hell you're doing. And it's just like everybody's good old days. It happens in different times. And I think it's like just recognizing it and just being able to be like in the moment and appreciative of that too. Like, I ramble, bro.
No, this is why I actually want to. Like, God, TikTok has a death grip on me. TikTok is robbing me of my good old days as a minute, you know. And this is like to all the iPad kids out there. Shout out, you know, like you're losing precious time that you're gonna wish you had. And the biggest motivator for me is death. And like if you think, like I watched this TikTok ironically one time that was like, close your eyes and imagine you're like 85, 90, whatever right now, and like you're in basically hospice care, like, you know, you're living out the last couple weeks of your life, like you're done. All the dreams that you could have possibly chased, you can't chase a single one of them. You are just existing from this point out. There's nothing left to look forward to. Now open your eyes. You are the age you are today, and you still have potential, and you still have time, and you still have goals that you haven't hit yet. You know, how do you look at it differently? And I try to reframe, you know, the day-to-day like that, because like I'll have days where like, you know, cool stuff will happen, like a towel party at, you know, with the Honda guys. Like, you know, for me, it could be something like Longtail Rally or you know, really awesome collab with like a bunch of really amazing artists where like, you know, we're doing the car thing, or like maybe we're mobbing down the street.
For sure.
Like, you know, we'll have like a night run with like Origins where like I'm in the R8, flames are coming out the back. I look over to my right, you know, there's a Bugatti Chiron over there. I look over to my left, there's a Ferrari 488 over there. My homie's driving the 488, you know, and then, you know, you got one of your other boys in the Huracan in front of you, and I'm like, this is a real experience that I'm having right now. Take it in. Don't just rush to the next thing, you know?
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's just like, yesterday when I went on a run and there was like a lake there and there were ducks, and I just like stared at the ducks for like 20 minutes, you know, and I just like was still, and I was like, this is also one of those moments that I'm gonna be like, I wish I had that, you know. And like, you're on TikTok, you're missing all of it, because how many times do you go, like, let's just say you spend an hour on TikTok, which is very easy to do, how much of that hour do you remember? You know, how many of those videos taught you something? Some of them do. But like, how, you know, realistically, like, what could you have done in that hour? And I'm like the worst person to say this because I consume so much TikTok, but like, you are losing those days where if I have to remind myself, like, man, if I'm 80, 90, looking back at this, how pissed am I going to be at the 30-year-old Will for burning a whole Saturday morning? Like, why am I starting my day at noon? Because I spent the first 3 hours or whatever it was on TikTok because I wanted an easy day. For sure. It's like, you can have an easy day, you can have a recovery day, but don't waste it. Yeah. You know, recover. Don't throw it away.
Well, just you recognizing that is a gift in its own.
Step one, admit you're addicted. You know, like,
it's an addiction.
My God, dude. Like, it's
and that's one of the reasons why I don't want to get on TikTok, is because I understand that there's a potential for it. Yeah. But there's also a potential for me doing other things. I don't have to do something that I don't want to do. You know, like social media as a whole, like even being on Instagram, I post a lot, but I post because I have to. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck, let me find let me try to make this fun somehow. Yeah. And what we do is I'll find some audio. I'll find a song. I'll find a part from a podcast, something from a movie, and then I'll play the clip that I'm doing, and I'll just upload that audio. So at least it's showing some sort of my personality, rather than I pick this song because it's a trending song right now. I'll pick a song that's like that Taylor Swift song. I'll put it on. Like, if this is the freedom that I have, I'm gonna use it. Yeah, sure. And I still have to post something, and then sometimes I'll have somebody be like, oh, what's the name of that song? And I'll be like, fuck yeah. That's what I wanted, you know?
I'm sure you're a Rob Dyrdek fan. Yeah. I was watching an interview with him, and he was saying when you hit this point where you just feel like, we'll call it static or like a plateau or something, like you got all this potential, but you don't know how to use it, or you're not where you want to be in your life. He's like, just start creating. Just start making stuff. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like, make whatever. Does not matter. He's like, as you're creating, your brain's just going to start coming up with new ideas, and it's gonna like it's like you're not gonna sit down and just come up with the idea. It's gonna happen through the process of creation. So let's just say you've never picked up a paintbrush, but if you just paint something, you know, you might come up while you're painting and being still, you're gonna probably come up, oh man, I have this really good idea of something to take a picture of, you know, like a little shoot idea I can do. And then while you're doing the shoot, you invite someone to that shoot that's like, oh, well, what if you did like this video with this? And then you do the video idea, and while you're doing that, someone's like dancing in the video, and they're like, oh, well, what if I tried like picking up, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like these things just happen as like a domino effect. But I love that Rob Dyrdek thing, because I frequently feel like I'm getting stuck sometimes where I'm like, oh no, like there's too many days in a row that were the same, and then, you know, they call them filler episodes, you know, like there was no grand finale day or something, and I'm like, and sometimes I'm not even building something fast enough. Today in church, Erwin was talking about taking an axe to a tree, and how a dull axe is going to require way more strength than a sharpened one. And it's like, yeah, you can still be building something, you can still be cutting down the tree, but if you're doing it with a dull axe, then, you know, you're 10xing the amount of time that it's going to take. Where if you just take a step back, sharpen your axe, and then go after it, you're going to cut down way more trees. Yeah. So like, if you're you know, if that's creation for you, like if you're trying to create stuff, like take a step back, you know, be still, recover like we talked about, and then just start creating stuff. Just do something, because if you're just gonna do the day to day that where they all look the same, you know, you're gonna build, but you're building with a dull axe. You know,
for sure. Do you feel like sometimes the people that you surround yourself or hang out with that you're kind of on the higher side of them and the more motivated side, that you're the one that is looked at for like motivation or looked at for as far as ideas? Or
I would say it depends on the friend group. So I have like different friend groups. Some people I hang out with and it's a room where I'm like, I'm going to be quiet and just take this all in. The long tail rally, everybody that goes on that rally are the type of people where I'm like, I'm just going to shut up and listen.
Got you.
You guys have just got so much information that I just want to be a sponge. And then there's other friend groups where whether there's an age gap or a difference in career path or just different experiences, yeah, I would say I am definitely on the higher energy side and the higher motivated side and very focused. And then there might be, that might be, a group of people where like I have some information or something that I could teach them, but not if it's unsolicited, like I'm not going to be like, here's how you fix your life. Like nobody wants that,
yeah.
Like it's like, it would have to be people that are like, hey, I see you're doing this thing. I also want to do that thing. How do you do that thing? And then I'm an open book. Cause the advice guru, nobody wants to be that guy. Nobody wants to listen to that guy either. And you also have to remind yourself, and I've had to remind myself of this frequently, is that everyone has something they can teach you. So let's just say it's like some 12-year-old kid that's, hopping in the R8 at a car meet, and we talk for like a minute or two, like there's probably something that kid can teach me, or some perspective that kid has. And like, or maybe there's someone my same age, and like maybe they weren't an Air Force captain, but maybe they have like an extensive background in like playing the guitar, which is like a new thing that I'm picking up. I know like nothing about it. Teach me what you know about that. So I would say in my friend groups, to answer your question, it depends on the friend group how quiet I am. But it doesn't matter what friend group you're in. There's something you can learn from all of them.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me about last night, the Origins thing that you guys had.
Dude. Chris Origins, he throws these meets, these pop-ups in California. If you've ever watched like Tokyo Drift, it's literally that in real life.
Yeah.
Like to a T. And for everybody out there that wants to get in the car scene, you can live fast and furious if you move out to California.
For sure.
For real. I watched your interview with Xavier Wolf, and I've seen him and his car like pulling up some of these meets. Like, these meets are wild, man. They're sick. And like the night that we hosted at our shop GhostWorx.
Okay.
Because Chris texted me and he was like, "Can we host a meet tonight?" And it was like 5 or 6 p.m.
Oh shit!
And he was like, "Can we do a pop up at 9?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I told the guys in the shop, we're like, "All right, let's order some pizza. We're just gonna stay here. We're not closing, and we'll see where this goes." We had no idea what to expect. And this is like, we've hosted a few meets there, and a few of them have been pop ups like that. And dude, there were probably like 200 cars there at least. Like we overflowed our parking lot. Every square inch was covered with a person or a car, and it all happened in like a very short period of time because he posted the address and was like, boom, pull up. And we had everything from, R34s there. We had DD pulled up with their crazy V12, Ferrari. We had a flame battle between my car and a handful of Mustangs and like some two-step BMW.
Oh, shit.
And like, it got a little spicy, not out of hand though. We had food vendors pulling up, and like all this happened in like a couple hours. People said they drove from San Diego, some drove from the Valley up in LA. Like guys were getting there it started at 9, they got there at like 10 p.m. They're like, "Man, I came from like Calabasas for this." And we're like, "Geez, dude, like it was fun, man. It was a good pop-up." And like there was a time when like the owner of GhostWorx, Matt, was like standing there, and like all the techs that like helped me build the R8 were there, and I just rev some crazy 6-foot plus flames into this massive crowd, and everybody was so many posts and everything, and I'm looking at them and I'm like, we built this. Damn. This is cool. And people are like vibing with it, and we're all having fun. And then of course you can draw on the car. So everybody's like drawing on the R8. Well, it's got this huge crowd around it. And it's like, yeah, like it's not a paint to sample, super clean, Aventador, but it's the one car that everybody gets to interact with. For sure.
Where's the shop located at?
Santa Ana in California, Orange County.
Got you.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. I've seen that. I've been to one Origins before.
Up here?
In downtown LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in downtown LA in like a parking structure.
Yeah.
Insane. It was probably about 3 years ago.
Was it the one that like got way out of hand where like
probably
showed up?
There was like helicopters, and it took forever to even get out of there.
Was it like around COVID kind of? Almost?
Yeah.
I think another one you're talking about, because he hadn't done one in a long time, and then he was like pop up downtown LA.
Yeah.
And I was finishing off a shoot with someone. I was in a McLaren 600 LT, And the owner was like, "Oh, just take it to Origins." I was like, "I don't know if I want to bring this car." So I like rushed home, and I had this model I was managing at the time named Bianca with me. And I was like, "Do you want to go to this meeting?" She's like, "Yeah, sure, I'm down." So she and I hop in my Mustang, and we take it downtown, and like streets are gridlocked.
Yeah,
like nobody can
move.
It
was that one.
So many cars, bro. Like imagine just like walking around every street. You got Hellcats, Mustangs, like crazy JDM cars, and Supras and Lambos, just lined up. And then the parking structure filled up.
Yeah.
And I remember it was like, you know that scene in Project X where like the helicopter points the light on him and he's like flipping off the camera?
Yeah.
There is literally a clip you can find on the internet now of this news helicopter ordering around going like, you know, local like car scene shuts down downtown LA, and there's me and a bunch of my friends standing on top of this parking garage with like there's like a Dodge Viper, and then like what's his name, Gordon is there with his like JDM build, and like all these cars, these supercars around us, and the spotlight's on us, and we're all just like looking up at it, and we're like, oh, we're on the evening news, you know. That event was big.
I think
it was really big.
That was when Alex Choi was out there with his like caged car.
Yeah, he had the, what was it, V2 of his thing? V1,
something like that.
His Huracan with the jungle gym around it.
You ever met that dude?
Yeah, we've done a Longtail Rally a couple times together. I consider him a good friend. He's got a lot of layers to him, man. Like if you've ever interacted, I had to interact with the dude like 10 times and then go on a long extended trip with him where I was like eating dinners with him regularly before I was like, I got like the real Alex, because like he's got like he's pretty introverted, you know. And then the more I talk to them, the more I'm like, you're a smart kid, you know, and like you're just a kid just trying to, you know, figure out who you are, and like you got access to all these crazy toys and this massive audience, and you can kind of see him grow over the years, and like he's made some mistakes that some people don't want to let him go, like don't want to let go, but he's moved on, you know. And it's like you just got to remind yourself that like we were all this age at some point. Like Alex, he's a little bit younger than me, but like I've definitely seen him grow like over the years, and he's a cool guy if you ever get to meet him, you know.
I want to have him on the podcast one day. I think that would be awesome.
I'll try to get an intro set up, because he's I think he needs a platform to speak more, because I think if people heard, because like he does cool stuff on the internet, and he has really great vlogs that get like millions of views of him doing ridiculous stuff.
Yeah.
But I think if you had more content of him just like speaking, they'd be like, whoa, this dude's got a lot of
for sure personality,
and like he's a cool guy to talk to.
I can tell that. I could see that he has something else, and he knows how to make content. There's that video that he did where he's like doing a burnout on the trailer, and there's like a helicopter or some shit. I was like, what the fuck? This is insane.
Yeah, he's creative, man.
So he's cool. Creative. That was very cool. And then I know it wasn't his car, but the whole Tesla thing, I thought that was super awesome. I thought that was fucking awesome, dude. Whatever, bro. If I was that age, if I had that possibility, nobody could tell me shit, dude. Yeah. I'll be doing what the fuck I want to do.
I'll give him this. Like, you have people out there that are doing absolutely nothing with their life, and there is no question that Alex Choi is doing the damn thing. Like, he's just like, he's taking risks, he's doing things, and like, again, he's like a young guy. Like, he's still learning. And it's like, unfortunately, he has to learn in front of like millions of people that will critique him for every little thing. But like, it's like, at least he's taking risks, man, you know? Like, more power to the people. Like don't like hurt anyone in the process, but like take some risks, put yourself out there, do some crazy stuff. And there's plenty of Alex Choi haters out there, and it's just because the guy is a risk taker, and like, you know,
he's easy to hate, you know.
He's got a life that a lot of people want, for sure.
But I'm sure that cat was stoked. You know, that's probably the only cat that's ever flown in a Tesla.
Oh yeah, that's right. There was like was it a cat, or there was an animal in the car?
I think it was a cat.
Oh my god, dude, can you imagine?
Oh my god, good times. Shout out to Alex Choi, man. Chris from Origins, how did you link up with him?
I went to, when I moved from West Hollywood to Orange County like years ago, I had my friend Estefan Caballero, who's a TikToker, invited me to an Origins meet. It was like a Best Buy parking lot, probably like 100 cars there. It was when Origins was starting to gain some traction, and I remember I linked up with him, and I was like, hey man, I want to come to your meets, want to be part of this. And to him, I was just like another nobody. But then I kept coming and I kept supporting it, and then our shop kept sponsoring his track days, and then he kept seeing my camo Mustang everywhere, and that camo Mustang turned into a camo R8, and then that R8 turned into a all LED flame-throwing showstopper, and then he knew he could always count on me to show up to his meets, and then he actually helped host my 30th birthday party. So it was like,
oh shit,
like Origins pulled up and he was there, and dude, we had like, it was like a Fast and Furious house. We had like exotic cars like poured out the driveway and all down the street, and then my friend Flo, who owns PDM Brands, opened up his super stellar of a mansion, his personal home. It was like, throw a party here, and we had a blast. But yeah, Chris is a cool dude, man, and he is the OC LA car scene. Like, he is just a major kingpin in the culture of like throwing these big, crazy Fast and Furious meets, man. If you want to experience that lifestyle, it costs $0, and all you got to do is follow Origins.
Dude, hell yeah,
just pull up and they'd give you the address.
He's another one that I want to have on the podcast too. Yeah. I love that shit, dude.
Yeah.
Like, dudes that are just doing whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
Fucking live life, bro.
Yeah.
You know? There's no one they have to answer to. I mean, the law, but but that's about it.
Cops have pulled up to several Origins meets and try to shut it down.
I'm sure they have.
Yeah.
Whatever, dude. It's their job.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way that I think about it. When I get a ticket, when I get pulled over, I'm like, it's your job, dude.
I've never given a cop a hard time. Let's put it that way. There was one cop that pulled me up for exhaust that I was kind of like, like he gave everybody that pulled into the meet a ticket, every single car. And I was like, bro, but like outside of that, like I've never been that guy with the phone in their face, like freaking out, because I'm just like, dude, if I was a cop, I would be really annoyed if people did that to me. So I try to be chill about it.
And I don't like to lie,
Yeah.
I think when you lie, that's like you're scared to tell the truth, and I'm not gonna be afraid of some random dude that I've never met.
Yeah.
No, hell no, dude.
Yeah.
I'll take the ticket, whatever, bro. It's all good.
I was just telling Corley on our drive up here about the first time I ever got a ticket speeding, and I was a senior in college. I was driving my 2013 V6 Mustang back from the beach. I just turned 22. And I graduated in 1 week, and I was driving back on like the back roads of North Carolina, where I'm from, and I wanted to see how fast it could go. I'd like never really driven fast before, and the governor on that car is 115. So I like hit 115 and it like stopped. I'm like, all right, this is as fast as it gets. And I remember just like feeling what I thought was like crazy speed, And this car was coming down the other way. It was just a little 2-lane road. And he's coming the other way, and I was like, well, I don't want to pass him like super fast. So I like let off the throttle a little bit, and I pass him. And sure enough, right behind him is a state trooper. And I see in my rear view, he does a U-turn. I'm like, oh, he's coming for me for sure. So I don't even like try to run or anything. Where you gonna go in the sticks of North Carolina? So I just pull over, put my flashers on, hands out the window, like I know I'm caught. Yeah. He pulls up, and he's already got an attitude like right off the bat, like I know I'm getting a ticket. And he asked for my registration. I just registered the car, I just bought it, and I was like digging through my trunk for the registration, and I had flip-flops, a bathing suit, and no t-shirt on because I'm like coming from the beach. I look like an idiot. And like Beach Boys was still faintly playing on the radio, and then like the girl I was dating at the time was in the passenger seat just like rolling her eyes. Like I looked like the most cliche, like young 20-something easy target for this guy, right? And I don't know that he clocked me, but he knew I was hauling. And I sit back down. He's like, all right, thanks. So he takes my license and he goes back and, of course, writes a ticket. And I don't remember what it was, if it was for reckless or speed or whatever. It had a court date, though. And he's like, here's your date that you appear. Sign this, no admission of guilt, yada, yada. And this would be the first of, like, God knows how many times I've been pulled over with the cars that I drive now, just by how they look. Like, just by, like half the time I get pulled over, I've been pulled over at a red light, where they're like, yep, this looks like you modified it. And I'm like, what, was it the stickers everywhere that gave it away? So it happens. But he writes a ticket, and I was like, sir, first of all, it's my birthday. Second of all, I commission as an officer in the Air Force in like 1 week. And if I have a court date, they're not going to let me commission. So it's going to like push me back. I'm not going to graduate my class. Like, it's not going to be ideal for me to have to, and I have to report this to the Air Force. You get a ticket or a court date, you have to tell the Air Force. I was like, it's not going to be a great way to start my career, just throwing that out there, And he looks at my ID and he goes, yep, it is your birthday, And then he sees my little ROTC military mandatory ID. He was like, yeah, and you do have a commission date set for a week from now, and everything checked out. And he just ripped the ticket up, and he goes, this is never gonna happen again.
Oh,
so it's like, take this lesson learned. And I was like, yes sir. Hands me back my license. He pulls off, I pull off, and I'm driving. I'm like, can't believe we got out of that one. I was scared because that was the second time I've ever been pulled over and the first time I'd ever been handed a ticket. And that time it was like something really bad, because the first time I got pulled over, I was like doing like donuts in a parking lot, and a cop heard it, and he was like, what's going on? And I told him, and he was like, all right, you're good, just don't do it anymore. This, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to jail. This is so bad. Like, I was freaking out. So then I get to we drive like 20 more minutes, and I pull over to get lunch with the girl and some of my friends, and we're in the subway line. And while we're waiting on line, another one of my friends who just kept going is like on the phone with me, and I'm telling him what happened. I'm like, dude, like, we got pulled over by this guy. I totally talked my way out of it. And by the way, also side note, when he was before he was writing the ticket, he saw in the back seat, he was like, is that a wine bottle? And I pulled it out, and it was like half of a wine bottle, and obviously open container is illegal. And I was like, no sir, this is Welch's sparkling cider, which it was. I was like, I just turned 22, I don't really have any interest in drinking alcohol, like I just drink Welch's instead. And he like looks at it, and it was like embarrassing and kind of silly, but obviously like completely legal. And he was like, yeah, you have grape soda in the back. So like, I'm telling him about the wine bottle in the back. I'm like, yeah, I thought I had like alcohol, which I didn't. And then I was like, we were going so fast, we hit the governor on the car and all the blah blah blah. And as I'm talking, I'm like turning around, and guess who's right behind me in the line but the officer that just let me go. And he's like, I promise I'm not stalking you. And I almost dropped the phone. I was like, hang up, just like, oh my God, I did not just do all that. And then we got to I didn't even think about it. I was like, ham, cheese, whatever, give me. And they're like, for here to go, like right now. Get me out of here, dude. I felt so awkward. And I was like, let's get on the road before he can and get away from the state trooper before I do something stupid again.
Oh my God. Yeah. Dude, that's crazy. What part of North Carolina?
I'm from Chapel Hill. So if you're a Michael Jordan fan, right where UNC is.
Oh, okay.
Baby blue, yeah.
How far is that from Charlotte?
A couple hours. I want to say like 3 hours, something like that.
Okay, got you. I've only been out that way for the track out there.
Yeah, the racetrack.
Z-Max.
Yeah, then they like invented NASCAR in like the South and like North.
Oh, really?
Like where it started, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I know like NASCAR is like hardcore in the South. Like we grew up like I didn't watch the NFL. We watched NASCAR. We watched Dale Earnhardt, like racing. And I went to Talladega as a kid. Like I got like exposed to the redneck.
Hell
like,
yeah.
all that stuff, dude. Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, they have 4 lanes, right?
Yeah.
To drag.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool, man. So from after high school, you went to the Air Force?
Straight in the, no. After high school, I did college.
Okay.
Did ROTC through college. I went to UNC.
Okay.
I went to Tar Heel, and then graduated college. I had one little break year before they activated me where I made videos for like a insurance company. And then I commissioned in the Air Force as a second lieutenant public affairs officer for Space Command. And I drove my car from ocean to ocean, went all the way from the coast in coast in North Carolina all the way to Los Angeles, and then drove 3 or 4 hours north to Vandenberg Air Force Base to start my Air Force.
Oh, okay. That's in
close to it.
Lompoc.
You got it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
I've driven through Ventura right here many times.
Yeah.
From Air Force Base to LA and back every single weekend.
Oh,
to just
nice.
Be in the car scene.
So how did you end up with SpaceX?
That was a job they just gave me. So they, when you commission or enlist in the Air Force, you can tell them what you want to do, but they'll ultimately will pick for you. But I told them I wanted to be a public affairs officer, which is like media, marketing kind of, media relations stuff. And when I gave them that career choice, they're like, okay, these are the bases that have that slot open, because you typically only have 1, maybe 2 tops guys that do that job per base. Out of all the thousands of guys that commissioned the year that I commissioned, only 7 got picked to be public affairs. So it's a very, very specialized job. And then when I picked Vandenberg, they offered me to go to Italy. I could live in Venice, Hawaii, in Honolulu. I could live in Florida. And then there was like one other, or I could live in California. And it said Santa Barbara County. So I was like, I typed in Santa Barbara. I'm like, ooh, this looks nice. So I was like, I want to be as close to LA as possible, because that is my dream, is to live in LA. And no matter what it takes. And the closest base to LA was Lompoc. And I was like, yeah, just send me there. I don't care what it is, And Lompoc is a space base, so that's why I ended up in space. But I remember I was driving through Santa Barbara. I'm like, this is so perfect. Wow, this is great. And then it started turning green to brown. And then you went more inland, and then it never went green again. And I was like, I messed up. And I remember pulling into Lompoc, and I'm like, I'm stuck here for who knows how many years until they tell me I'm done. And I was like, there's literally a scene in Fast and Furious where Dom looks over, and they send him to Lompoc prison.
Yeah.
And he's like, I ain't ever going back to Lompoc.
Yeah.
And that is what I said when I left. I was like, I used to volunteer at that prison. The one where he's talking about. I was like, I ain't never going back to Lompoc,
Wow. I have family in Lompoc. It is
tiny,
shitty town.
Nothing goes on there.
Oh my God.
And that is where the unpredictable side of me was born, because I got stationed there 1 month in. My whole childhood dream to becoming an Air Force officer, I was like, oh my God, I have a desk job in a room with no windows, no Wi-Fi, no cell service, 8 hours a day in a town that's 50 miles away from the nearest anything. What do I do? And I'm like 22. Like I'm in like prime time to just be a risk taker and crazy and stupid and do all the things that you want to do as a 20-something-year-old. And I'm like, I'm stuck here. I have two choices. I could be pissed at it, or I can change it. So I listened to this Tony Robbins TED Talk, and he talked about, I think it was like the 7 basic needs of every human, and 2 of them were predictability and unpredictability, or certainty and uncertainty. And too many people stray towards the certainty, things they can control, things that they can predict, the outcomes that they want. And then unpredictability is the Alex Choi stuff, the risk-taking, the craziness, stuff like that. And I was like, well, my life is pretty predictable, because every single day at that base, minus like the rocket launching days, were pretty much identical to each other. The biggest thing in the town was a Walmart. There's no sporting events, there's no movie theater, there's no hangout stuff on the weekends. That's why I was driving to LA. So I started to study the art of unpredictability and how I could be. It started with just like brushing my teeth with a different hand. Then it was take a different route to and from work. Then it was meet and actually get to know the person that is like scanning your groceries at the grocery store. Then it was see if you can finesse your way into a Coldplay concert with a fake British accent. Then it was see if you can sneak your way into EDC and become good friends with the Chainsmokers. Then it was book a trip to Thailand with no plans and stay out there for a week and see what happens, and just one thing led to another. And then I proved myself, living in a town where nothing happens, I can end up front row at a Coldplay show, or dapping up the Chainsmokers, or like, bringing celebrities to the base, or getting offered to drive Lamborghinis and stuff, just because I keep saying, well, how can I be unpredictable? How can I push the limit and do things that are naturally uncomfortable for me and anyone, and become more comfortable being uncomfortable? Where we talked about like that Goggins mindset, where like, it's like if you're just used to the 10-second cold shower, you work your way up to ice baths. You can sit in the ice bath as long as you want. You start putting yourself out there and start taking risks. Like, well, how far can we take this? Like how much can we, like the Coldplay show is like one of my favorite stories, because like I had just bungee jumped that day twice, and I was like, dang, that was a crazy day, And then I remember like there was this girl in like Bumble. I hit her up and I was like, do you want to like go on like a walk on the beach like right now? And she's like, yeah, sure. I was like, let's catch sunset on the beach. And it was like a girl I'd never met. So I went from bungee jumping to like meeting this really cool girl who's like a lawyer. And we like watched the sunset on the beach. And then my friend, who I loaned my car to for the day, because he also met a girl and he like wanted to impress her. I had like the Mustang. So I was like, take the Mustang. So he's driving my car around LA, which was a risk in itself. I texted him. I was like, dog, Coldplay's in town tonight. I've never seen him. They bucket list on him. Should we do it? And he's like, how much are tickets? I was like, nosebleeds are like $150, which is kind of a lot of money if you're on a government paycheck. Yeah. And I was like, let's just get a ticket. Let's just go. It's Sunday night. We should not stay out in a concert in Pasadena, California, when we have to report into the Air Force at 6:00 in the morning for physical training.
In Lompoc.
4 hours north.
Fuck.
So I was like, yeah, but you know what? We already bungee jumped twice today, and this is a pretty good sunset, and I'm feeling pretty good. So like, let's just do it, man. Let's just do it. So we buy the tickets. And then we tried to buy them, and then they were like sold out, and then like more of them popped out, and we just snagged them. So like, okay, we got like the worst tickets in the stadium, but who cares? We're going to see Coldplay tonight. So we get in the stadium, and we're walking around, and I get up to our seats. I'm like, bro, we are way too far away from the stage. And I'm a huge Coldplay fan, just as much as I am a Taylor Swift fan. I was like, if my first Coldplay experience is gonna be 10 miles away from the stage, I might as well not do this. I was getting this like, how do I get down there feeling? And I was like, well, the opener's not on yet. Let's just see if we can like get down there, So this was in 2016, I think, 2015, 2016, whatever their tour was. And Pasadena is one of their favorite venues. And I go down, and there's like a tunnel that gets you to the lower floor. This was before Coldplay did open standing area. They had like seats, and each seat cost about $2,000 to $3,000 to sit in. So it was like totally outside the budget. And I get to the guy, and I whip out this fake British accent that I'm not going to do today. And I was like, hey, my uncle is like sitting in the front row down there. I flew in from England like today. We just like bought these tickets on a whim. We just want to get a picture together in front of the stage before everything gets going, to just say like, we did a Coldplay show together. And they're like, yeah, you can't come down here without a wristband. You need a ticket. And I was like, oh man, I mean, like, I'm just running down, getting a photo. Like, this was like so early before even the opener would start. There's some people are funneling in. It's not that crowded. And I was like, can we do this? And he was like, absolutely not. So I was like, okay, what would it take? Like, what is it, you know? And at this point, most people, they get their first no. Most people wouldn't even ask. Yeah. You know, they're just like, you can't get down there. You don't have the ticket. The next stage of risk taking is even asking the question, can I go down there? And then most likely going to get a no. And then you get a no, and then you try to feel out the person. Like, you don't want to be annoying. You don't want to cause a problem, you know, but there's like nothing going on. Not a lot of people coming through. There's like 10 security guards here, and I'm talking to one. You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal. And then I can tell I'm not like bothering him either. So I'm like, yeah, I want to get down there. So do I have to, where do I get this ticket? You know, humor me. And he's like, well, they're selling them around at guest services. If you want to try to buy a ticket to come down here, you can do that and come back. And I said, all right, which way is? And he points me in the direction. And I really sell him on this idea that I'm going to buy it, knowing full well there's no way I'm spending that much money to sit down there, because I know how much it costs. And I said, all right, I'm going to go to guest services. I'm going to go try to buy a ticket, and then I'll come right back, okay? Again, all in a British accent with this fake story that I have to meet an uncle that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So I leave. I'm trying to find guest services, and it's taking a while to navigate through the crowd that's like building up now. And I asked him, like, just for kicks, like, what does the ticket cost, you know? And they're like, yeah, like $3,000, and we only have like one. I was like, okay, yeah, that's not gonna happen. So I was like, appreciate it. So I walk back, and I've been gone for like probably like 20 minutes now, and I go back around, and this whole story is in my book, by the way, The Art of Unpredictability. Each chapter is a different story like this one, where I tell like this crazy story, and then at the very end, I'm like, and you can do it too, and here's how you did it, you know? So no secrets. I come back to the guy, and I'm like, hey man, I talked to guest services. They are completely out. They have like one ticket. There's two of us, myself and my friend Shiv, who's now a nuclear missile operator.
Oh shit!
He gets the keys to the nukes that can turn a city into a lake at a moment's notice. So that's his job.
Oh shit!
But he and I were like, trying to get in, and the guy's like, he just goes like, come on man, like what are you trying to do? And I was like, I'm just trying to go down there and like, take a picture with my uncle. I was like, not really, like, what are you trying to do? And I was like, I doubled down on this. I was like, I'm just a guy visiting, trying to, and I had enough details to my story that like, it wasn't complete BS, but he knew I wasn't telling the truth. Yeah. But I was also like charismatic enough that like, he was kind of like, he had that like SpongeBob face, kind of like that smug, like, I know what you're doing, And then he goes, walk past me and don't stop. And I was like, what? And he's like, walk past me and don't stop. And I was like, okay. And then I just go. And it was in a moment in time where all of the security guards were distracted, scanning someone. And once you're past that line, you're in. So we go past them, and I look over my buddy. I'm like, oh my God, we're in the lower level. We can't go to the bathroom now. We can't get food, no water. We're in till the end. So my adrenaline is going, and I'm like, oh my God, we got it. And I remember like coming out of the tunnel, and the stage is like right there. And you look around, and you're like, there's our seats way up there in Africa, and like we're down here now. So I was like, we got to find a seat, obviously. So we sit down, and I'm like, I got my head on a swivel. I'm like, all right, Shiv, someone might show up for these two seats. And if they do, we're going to go to those two seats. We're not going to create a situation. We're not going to even look like if someone's walking down there, that we're there, oh yeah, you're right, you're here. And then just leave. No arguing, no scene, because we don't want security to come up and be like, where are your wristbands? That was the other thing. We didn't have a wristband. So we pulled our sleeves down to cover our wrists. So it wasn't a dead giveaway. And we were there through the whole opener. And all these seats are filling up, and I have just this anxiety building because I'm like, oh my God, like we're running out of seats. If they all fill up, I can't just stand somewhere because security's going to be like, go to your seats, and then cover's blown. And then Coldplay comes out, and it was the best day of my life because they come out, and there's this realization that the first Coldplay song was happening, and those seats were ours.
Oh shit!
And their opening song was "Head Full of Dreams," and I remember like it was all dark. And there were no lights on except the stage was like a little red. And they had, who's the famous boxer? Ali. They had like a Ali monologue, and he's talking, I think it was Ali, and he was like, you know, you have the ability to make this life a wonderful adventure. The power isn't in, you know, him or this leader or them. It's in you. You, the people, can make life an adventure. And then the first drums, because Will Champion comes out and he's on the drums, but he's in the darkness. You don't even see him. Just hits the drum beat of Head Full of Dreams. Listen to a live version of this song if you want to like experience it. And then Chris Martin is running down the edge of the stage, lights still off, and then right in the opening line, the lights cut on, and then Chris Martin, spotlight, he's in all rainbow, and then boom, the most confetti I've ever seen in my life, all butterfly shaped, just, and then multicolored fireworks from behind the show, and the stage erupted, and then everybody had a wristband that was like LED. The whole stadium was rainbow flashing, and I was like, oh my God, sensory overload. Like, this is crazy, you know? And we're like 20 feet away from Chris Martin singing. And I was like, whoa, like what a amazing chapter in the story, this great story that I'm living, you know? And we accomplished it for $150. And then like 2 or 3 songs went, and then the people for our seats showed up. And we're like, oh no. And then we had our fallback seats. They come and we go back, and then around this time, my friend Winston was trying to catch the same show because he heard we were going. He lives in Pasadena, and he was like, "Oh, I wanna come to the show too." So we texted him how we did it, and he somehow finessed his way in too.
Oh shit!
So not only did I get in, but 2 of my friends made it, and we got 3 seats together as the fallback location, like 2 rows back. And those people never showed up the entire show. The 3 of us got to watch Coldplay from like $3,000 seats together and experience the greatest concert of my entire life. And I'm saying that as a Taylor Swift fan who went to Eras Tour, which I ran that same strategy back for Eras Tour because I was like, how close can we get? And I was up like kind of high, and like I was in a box seat that a friend gave me because I cannot even now afford Taylor Swift tickets. And we went down to the lower section, and we were super close for all the Reputation songs and all the Red songs in 1989. We got to watch them all from like the lower section because I just paid attention where the empty seats were, and my friend Yana and I would watch Taylor Swift like really close. And then when someone shows up, you relocate to another set of seats. And I wouldn't advise this for everyone because it takes a certain amount of like tact and also like conflict, because like if someone shows up, some people are like, you're in my seats, and you got to be like super chill about it, and you got to be on top of it. You can't fully enjoy the concert knowing that someone could show up, you know, and you got to be low key enough that security doesn't realize what you're doing. But I watched Taylor Swift from like 10 different angles, you know, because I was just popping around from seats, you know, and then we made it way back up to the box seats. But you know, that was a perfect example of like we could have chalked it up at bungee jumping. I went bungee jumping in a suit and tie, by the way, because nobody does that. And then, like it kind of took the edge off of jumping off a bridge because I was like dressed nice. I'm like, well, this is kind of different. I guess I had like dress shoes on and everything. Yeah. You know, but like that was a bucket list item that most people don't accomplish in itself. Bungee jumping. That was terrifying. You know how scary it is to jump off a bridge by yourself? Like just, you know? And like, and then we just kept taking it a step further, and then we got all the way to Coldplay, and I was like, how can we get to the very front? And then I ended up getting back to the base at like 2 or 3 a.m. because there was so much traffic coming out, and it was the first time I ever slept through my alarm in the military. And I woke up to like 20 different phone calls where they're like, where are you? You know, AWOL, like you're in trouble, all this stuff. And I ended up getting in no trouble at all because it was the first and only time I'd ever like no-showed. I was like, I woke up like well-rested. I'm like, oh, it's like so nice outside. Why do I see the sunshine? Like, this is bad. Like immediate panic. Like the wing commander had called me, and I was like, I am so sorry. Like I rolled the dice in a Coldplay show last night, and I have, you know, 2 hours of sleep or whatever it was, you know. So it did come with a cost, but the cost was 100% worth the reward.
For sure. Yeah. Dude, that's an amazing story. Yeah. Good for you, bro. Hell yeah.
Risk it all.
For sure. That makes me want to do that shit, dude.
It's harder now because security has gotten better over the years. You can't sneak into concerts like you used to because, you know, instead of a wristband, they're looking to scan stuff, and people are afraid of like, oh, if I let this person get in, like is my job going to get in? People are just, it's just different now. It's different.
Yeah. I mean, the way that I see it is these people can't make more than X amount of money a night. I figure if I go in there with $200, I'm getting wherever I want to get.
True, but a lot of the stuff that I do, especially everything in my book, I pride myself on accomplishing for little to nothing, most of the time free. Nice. You know? So like I had to pay a ticket to get in, But then again, I've gotten into plenty shows, like when I did EDC and like linked with the Chainsmokers and Marshmello and these other guys I ended up working out with down the years. I spent $2. That's the title of the chapter. It was like what you can get with $2. I spent $2 on an apple because I was hungry.
Yeah.
Like everything else, I figured a way out, you know? Because like I've never been so financially secure. Like this is like present day is like the most money I've ever made. And even then I'm like so far from like baller status. Like all the way through my 20s, it was like every paycheck was like equal to my credit card bill. So I had to get creative with creating experiences that were over the top incredible and cost no money, which a lot of people are just like, that's not possible. You know, I don't have the ticket. I can't go in. I don't know the people. You know, like they have all these reasons why they can't do it. And it's like, I have it in writing now. And then once I started doing YouTube, I have like video proof of me constantly doing things that are just way outside of what I should have been able to accomplish. And that's why I love that it's always for $0, because then you really have no excuse.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not buying my way into these experiences. I don't have any like, you know, like cool toys that are being handed to me. Like I'm just pulling it off with like a little bit of charisma and some finesse and like this willingness of like being willing to get rejected and getting some no's. And sometimes it doesn't pan out. You know, me bringing baby diapers to the Rose Bowl to try to get in and pretending like I had a kid in there to like, I needed to change diapers. And I was like, I had to run out of the parking lot. That plan didn't work, you know, like it totally got rejected, but it totally worked in the same venue with Coldplay when I just used a British accent and a different story. So like, you know, I'll take 50% odds on that, you know.
For sure. So you're working on a book?
It's been published for years.
Really?
Published in like 2016, I think. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yeah. It's called The Art of Unpredictability.
Where is that available?
Amazon.
No way.
Yeah. It's like I have it. The price of it is almost like costs for me to make it, because I just wanted it to sell, you know. And a lot of copies have sold. I've sold thousands of copies. And like I've had people that I've never met that read the book, and I wanted to write a book that the high school version of me would like actually read, because I never read in high school. I hated reading. So I was like, I want a book that's like actually fun. So that's why I made each chapter different. So like you could pop in on like Choose Your Adventure. You could do like chapter 6 and read it just start to finish and none of the other book, and it'll make sense, you know? And then like each chapter is totally different, where like one story is like me getting in like a car accident that almost killed me. And then like one story was like sneaking into EDC. And like one story was like landing a you know, late night from the airport and then driving all night to go like find dolphins in the morning, like just like random stuff. But again, like all trying to accomplish for $0. All of it was done in my 20s, you know, with no special crazy hookups and anything. It's just me just creating adventure and trying to live the best story possible.
Now, when did you release this book?
I want to say it was like 2016. It was like, because I joined the Air Force in 2015.
That's crazy.
Realized that my life was incredibly predictable, and then started creating unpredictable experiences for myself.
What is the name again?
The Art of Unpredictability. I have another book in me for sure. I gave a TED talk right before I did that book, and it was on authenticity, but I talked about like creating an unpredictable life. I did that TEDx talk in college, and then wrote that book. And my next TED talk, I want to be on the 3 things that you give up when you grow up.
Damn.
And it's risk, wonder, and love. And I want to write a book on risk.
I'm gonna have to read this, dude.
You can read it in a day. That's the other thing. It's like small, so like you can cruise through it real fast. I even had because I wrote it in my 20s, and like I had fully grown adults that would like, so yeah, that's it. Some people message me and they're like, honestly, like my guard was up, because like you're a kid writing this book basically, and I didn't think it was gonna be anything of it, and I was like surprised that there were actually like takeaways here, and like this like helped me. And I had people like message me and they're like, I went skydiving because of this, or I quit my job because of this, and like some people like, I started a YouTube channel because of this.
Oh
and,
my god.
you know, they read it and they're like, you know, maybe it's the to people that have the humility to be able to say, I don't have an excuse to do XYZ. Instead of like, you know, instead of faulting me or coming after me or hating me for doing those things, they're like, well, why not me? Why not you? You know? And then they go and try it, and they're like, okay, that works. And then you start building momentum, and you're like, maybe I am the kind of person that, you know, one person was like she was like in her 40s, I think, has like 2 kids, was just like small town mom in North Carolina. And she was like, not only did I go skydiving because of this book, I did it in a princess dress with like a tiara, because I was just like, let's just do something extra silly, you know, for this, because Will says to in his book.
I've always wanted to write a book.
It's a lot of work. Once I learned that less than 1% of people who say they write books follow through with it, I was like, all right, game on. I want to be in that less than 1%. And I published it, and it was totally worth it.
Wow.
Yeah. But
good for you.
You got to write like one chapter at a time. Just break it down. and pull up a little Word doc, and just get ideas on paper. Don't stress over like formatting and how to make it perfect and everything. Just like get your ideas down and then go back and refine things and then give it to an editor and let the editor help you clean up your thoughts. But like writing a book, it's a lot of work, but it's not impossible. And then when you do it, you have this timeless piece of credibility that less than 1% of people do, that you can say, God, I am an author.
Bro, that is so cool, dude. Mm-hmm. I would love to do something like that.
All you need is Word or Google Docs. I wrote most of my book through Gmail when I needed to just find something to do. So like I was either let's just say at a restaurant killing time, or in between meetings, or in the Air Force sitting at my desk, whatever. If I had even minutes of downtime, I'd pull up draft Gmail and I'd start writing, and then I would pull it and put it into my Word doc when I got home and fit it into my book somewhere. Because sometimes I would have like an idea, I'm like, wow, that'd be a good addition to my book, and I'd jot it down in a Gmail draft, and then organize it in the book. So it was just like laying one brick a day, and then all of a sudden I had a wall.
That's so cool, bro. Yeah. I love that. That's definitely something that I would want to do, because there's a lot of stories and things that I've been through that like I just don't talk about much, just to the detail that it can be. Unless it was in like a book format, Damn, that's so cool, dude. Good for you. How did you link up with Tyga?
There's this guy named Eric who's a friend of mine, and he hit me up one day. He was like, hey man, Tyga needs some supercars for like a concert thing. Can you pull up? And I was like, yeah. He's like, you got a friend that can? I was like, yeah. So I hit up this other guy that I knew, and Tyga was doing like a promo at like this little retail store, and they had this stage and just wanted 2 supercars parked on either side of the stage. And then after the performance, we had like a little meet and greet thing, and I'm rarely like, we'll call it starstruck, awkward, whatever, around people, because I've done a lot of music videos for like rappers over the years, like especially before they like blew up. There were like a lot of rappers that I was like paying attention to on like the underground side, and then I caught them while I was in college. We like did a video, and then they like blew up. But like when I was around Tyga, I was like, it was kind of like that Kobe energy where I'm like, dude, you're on like such another level. I'm like intimidated by like just your mindset, and like Tyga's like killing it. And I was like, I'm like 1.5 feet taller than the guy. Like I'm objectively larger than him by a long shot.
That's right, like 5'6".
Yeah, and I was like, dude, when I say I was the whitest guy to ever meet Tyga, I swear, bro. I was like, hi, nice to meet you, sir. Like, dude, I just was, and it's just so embarrassing because I've done I did a video with Big Sean. I've done one with Macklemore. I've done like Chitty Bang. Like we've done some stuff with it. Like, what's his name? Like one of the icons in hip hop. We did Big Crit. I did what was his name? It's semantics, but like, dude, and then I met Tyga, and I just became an awkward mess. But I was like, I talked to him. I said, hey, we got a picture. I use it on my Hinge account now, and it was a win.
Nice, dude. So how did you get into making music videos?
Because it was the only way that I could get into clubs legally underage in college. Because like I didn't drink till I was 21, but like I still wanted to be out where everybody was. And like at the time, I started to have a knack for like filming. And I was going to school for media production. I knew I wanted to do something in film when I grew up. And the one thing that everybody wanted that was in demand was like music videos and concert videos and stuff. Like I could get in touch with big artists, because this was before, like nowadays, dude, like everybody, like let's just say Big Sean was coming in town now. Bro, hundreds of kids are hitting that guy up because everybody and their brother now has a little camera or DSLR. Bro, I'll do a video for you, whatever. And they'll just take the free stuff, But back in 2011, 12, when like hardly anyone was investing in a camera, YouTube wasn't really a thing. TikTok didn't exist. Instagram was like brand new.
Yeah.
I was making videos of these concerts, and I would hit up one artist, and like I would film like a local DJ, and then I would pitch that to like a little bit bigger DJ, and then I would take those 2 videos and hit a DJ like Cruella, and like they were big but they're not huge, and then I'd take Cruella's, and then I'd be like, hey Diplo, I can do a video for you because I do like Cruella's, and then Diplo would be like, I like this, all right. So then I got Diplo, and then I go to Big Sean and be like, well, I did a Diplo video, what do you think? And then he's like, all right, dope. And then it just snowballs, because then I have like this like nice little portfolio of videos that I can pitch to these guys, and I would figure out how to find the manager's contact information, and I'd hit him up like way in advance the second a tour would drop.
Gotcha.
And find a venue near our college and then offer to do the video for free because I was learning college. So I had all this experience like filming and editing coming out of college and transferred it, to YouTube. But there's a lot of like, dude, like me as like an 18-year-old or 17-year-old, 130 pounds, 140 pounds, college freshman, sophomore, and I'm like on stage with Big Sean, like filming him, and stuff. And then it transferred to festivals, because I filmed EDC, did their after movie 9 years in a row. And I met every DJ under the sun doing
You
EDC.
did the EDC after movie?
It's a team. There's a team of us.
Gotcha.
It is not done by one person, but I was the videographer. I did their live stream for a handful of years, and then they upgraded me to the videographer where I had free reign. I could go anywhere I wanted.
Oh,
they gave me a camera, a red camera, and it was Shiv, the guy that snuck into the Coldplay show with me. He and I were a team, and we just out-hustled everyone, dude, because we snuck in the first one. We got in on Cruella, had an artist pass. I'd never heard of EDC. I went to Vegas to do homeless outreach. I was giving away pizza and socks in like the streets of Vegas, and this was my first time in Vegas. And then I'm on Snapchat. It's like 8 p.m. and it's showing. I'm seeing highlights. This is back when I used Snapchat. I don't even delete the app now. And it had highlights from EDC, and it was like happening now. And I was like, what's EDC? And this was 2015, 15, I think. And it was day 3, Sunday night, because EDC is 3 days. And I saw Cruella was in the highlights. So I messaged them, and I was like, are you guys like performing in Vegas right now? I'm in Vegas. I happen to have all my camera gear. I'm like, no, we performed yesterday at EDC, but we have artist passes. We're not going tonight. Do you want them? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, we got one. I was like, cool. So I told my friend, Rob Jones, who was in a bus that he drove across the country to do service projects in every state. It was a dream he had dreamed up in our college dorm room and was living out. And I told him I would be with him from Vegas to LA if he pulled it off, and he did. So this is stop 1. I was like, can you drive me in the bus and drop me off at the racetrack? Because I think I got into this festival. I've never done a festival before. And he's like, yeah, sure. So he drives me over there, and I get there by like 10 p.m. and I walk inside, and they're like, no, this is the wrong entrance for you. You're an artist. And I was like, you're right.
I am.
And they put me on a golf cart and they drive me like through the tunnel.
Shut the fuck.
And they drop me off backstage, and they're like, all right, see ya. And it was just me, my little backpack, my camera that I had just invested in, my own first, it was a GH4 DSLR. And I was like, okay, I guess this gets me everywhere. And I walked onto this stage, and I didn't learn until later that night that was like the 3rd biggest stage. Like, it wasn't even the biggest, but it was the biggest stage I'd ever seen in my life. Blau was playing. And I just walked on stage. Like, I showed them my little skeleton key, and they just, dude, anywhere I wanted to go with that thing that said artist, I could go. Next thing I know, I'm staying on stage. There's thousands of people on this stage. It was circuit grounds. And I was like, whoa, there is a bigger world out there than my college, because I thought college was like the greatest thing ever. And I was like, doesn't get any better than this. Oh, it sure does. And I was like, dang, I'm filming this DJ that I've been listening to in like parties in college, and he's like right next to me, and like I get some clips there. And then it was like Willy Wonka's factory. I went from like stage to. Have you ever been to EDC?
I have not.
Oh, dude! Even if you don't like EDM, highly recommend it.
I would love to.
It is another world, because it starts at 7 p.m. It goes till 7 a.m. and you'll see the most ridiculous outfits and pyro and more fireworks than you can handle. Just going around where it's like I've done EDC sober every year too. Like, you don't even like, some people like to do like drugs and alcohol and everything to make it crazy. Like, I've been sober because I've been working, and it is sensory overload because it's just so much. So I go from that stage to the next one, and it's like drum and bass, it's like hardcore, and like everybody there is like very edgy and has like all the leather and stuff, and there's flamethrower effects and things like that. And then I went to the next stage, and then I made my way to main stage. Main stage is 400 yards across. It is huge.
Oh shit.
I believe it's 400, and I think the crowd, I want to say, is like 80,000, something like that. It is like absurd, whatever number it is. EDC is 4 times the size of Coachella, for the record. Main stage is so big you can't even see the DJ really. And I was walking in the pit in the front section, and I'm filming with my camera, just trying to capture everything. I'm just swinging around everywhere. So I'm like, there's too much. There's people here, costumes here. There's people on stilts. There's people blowing fire. There's people juggling on stilts. There's people crowd surfing in dinghies. Like, there's dancers on the stage dressed like candy and flowers and trees and like Dr. Seuss characters. And I'm like, I can't film every direction at once, you know? And then this guy gets on, the guy that has been playing main stage, he's like, all right, thank you for giving me such good energy tonight. He was a primetime headliner at like 11 p.m. He's like, my name is Calvin Harris, and this is my last song. And I'm like, Calvin Harris is on stage? Like, what? And I like turn around, then he plays I Need Your Love. And then I was like, oh man. And then he went off stage, and then Alessa went on, and Alessa played We Are Heroes. And I remember that song coming on and everybody singing the chorus, and I was the only one in this pit. Nobody else was there. And I was filming everything. And I was like, how did I go from almost going to sleep at 8 o'clock to being here at 11? Like, you know, the power of asking, you know, and just how far can you take it? And I filmed this video all night. I'm just like, I texted my friend Rob. I'm like, bro, you're not going to believe what I'm doing right now. Like, it's so crazy. And I filmed all night, and then I lied to get myself the connection I need, because I was like, I'll be damned if I don't come back and do this again, because this was too great of an experience for me to just let it happen once. So I find the media booth, which EDC is a whole racetrack. It's huge. So I find where the media is being controlled by, and I tell security, first of all, I asked anyone that I saw with a camera and an EDC shirt, I was like, what's your boss's name? And then I asked enough of them until I found out who the bigger boss was. And I forgot her name, but just let's say it's Aaron. I go to the media tent, and there's security, and they're like, oh, where's your like media pass? You know, coming here. I was like, well, I got this artist pass. And they're like, no, you need a media pass. And I have my camera and stuff. I was like, oh, I'm supposed to have a meeting with Aaron, actually. So I'm going to, you know, go do that. And they were like, okay, we'll call her down. And I was like, oh, shoot. So I'm waiting for a second, and I was like, I might have gotten myself kicked out. We'll see how this goes, you know? So this lady comes down, and she goes, do I know you? And security's with him. Like, he says he has a meeting with you. She's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, wait, stop before you do anything. I was like, my name is Will. I have an artist pass. I'm friends with this artist. They got me in. I have filmed all night. I'm going to make my own video. How do I work for you? And then she looks over to the other guys, and she goes, I got this. And then she says, come with me. So we go inside, and we go up this elevator, and she takes me to the top, and we just overlook this neon electric forest of just, you know, they have what is it, Ferris wheel, and they have the swings, and they have the big ship, and they have 11, 12 stages, all just different music, faintly just bass pumping, and we're on this like third story of this building just looking at it all. And I said, Aaron, this is the most like beautiful scene I've ever seen. This isn't real life. I've never heard of EDC. This is the first day I've heard of it, and I'm here. And she goes, well, we're always looking for people. Here's my email. If you want to film this next year, you know, send me some of your stuff, and we'll talk. You know, no promises, but we'll talk. And I was like, all right, done. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be back here officially. And then she says, okay. So a couple months pass. I make my own video of my own EDC recap, and I email it to her. And then she like doesn't reply. And then then I wait 1 month exactly. I email her again. 1 month exactly. Email her again. Here's my video. Hey, just want to make sure I'm on the roster. Can I be on the roster? Whatever. Then I do some more research, because I learned how to find music artists. I find some Insomniac contacts, the people that run EDC. Start emailing those guys. Start copying everybody on the same email. Hey, this is what I can do. This is what I can do. And I go at this for like months with no reply, until it's like maybe like 3 or 4 months until EDC, and I get a reply back. I think it was from Aaron, somebody on that I'd copied on, and they go, number one, you weren't supposed to have I don't know how you got a camera in these areas. You're not supposed to have that. We're supposed to be the only ones filming this. That is a big no-no. Take it off of YouTube right now. Number two, you're hired. This is phenomenal. You got to come and film for us officially. And I was like, you got it. And they said, we're going to start you out at a not so great stage, controlling a camera on a pole from a little joystick and a screen from behind the stage. And I was like, whatever it takes, I'll work my way to the top. And I started there, and I hustled my way, just like staying later, helping with takedown, doing all the union guys were like in and out, you know. Yeah. But I'm like, I am doing whatever it takes to out hustle everybody. I had a good attitude. People complain about the food. I'm like, it's the best food ever. People are like dragging their feet, you know, coming in. I'm like, I'm military. I'm like 30 minutes early at least. Like, I'm ready to roll, you know. And someone drops the ball, it's like, I got you. And like just being a good teammate. And then they're like, okay, why don't you do the live stream for the main stage now? And here's a camera for you to hold. And then I did that for a couple years. And they're like, okay, how about you do after movie? Here's a camera for you and your buddy. He's going to carry the equipment and follow you around. Here's a pass that will get you literally anywhere. You film whatever you think it captures EDC, and then we're gonna make an after movie out of it. And then we'll fly you in and out of Vegas. You got a top suite, like we're hooking it up. You made it to the top. You hustled your way there, and that was all from just asking, hey, can I go here? Can I go here? Can I have a pass? How far can I go? And then every month, can I work for you? Can I work for you? And then I did. Wow. And it is a very sought after spot because the privilege of being able to go on the stage and I double hustled it too, because while I was filming, I really like Marshmello. I better go meet his manager that's sitting back there twiddling his thumbs on his phone, not doing anything for the next hour while his boy's on set, go grab that contact. Oh, Tiesto's up. Let me go meet his guys. Timmy Trumpet's up. Let me go talk to him while he's waiting, for Alesso to finish. I'm gonna become good friends with Timmy Trumpet and his manager. So then when they come through town, oh, remember me? I was on EDC's main stage. And you met me there, and I have a lot of credibility. Let's do a video together. So it just exploded. Wow. Connections.
Marshmello's manager, Shalizi.
Yeah.
He's a big car guy.
He is. Too. His car collection is nuts.
You're still in touch with him?
Not really, no. I kind of got out of the music industry when I started to do more of the car stuff.
Got you.
And now I'm kind of stepping away a little bit from the car stuff, and I'm getting more into this type.
Dude, that is so cool, bro. Wow. I remember 2012. I think it was the EDC promo video was the song "Seek Bromance."
Yeah, Avicii, right? Yeah.
No. "Seek Bromance" is Tim. Well, he made he did the remix to it. So
maybe
it's Tim
he did a remix. Okay.
Burton or some shit.
That sounds right. Yeah.
But the Avicii, because there's like a longer one of it. I love that song, and I watched that. It's like OG. And I never went, dude. I should. That was when
you can still go.
Yeah, maybe me and my wife will go.
You have to. Just one day. Trust me, you'll burn out after.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll wear you out. But dude, I was not very into EDM, and then I went, and it was I was surprised at how nice everybody was and how positive an environment it was. And then and it's just dude, it's we talked about being having that kid inside of you. If that kid inside of you wanted to go to a real Alice in Wonderland, this isn't real life experience, EDC is that in space. EDC is so unreal that just walking around, you're like, what just walked past me? Oh my God.
Dude, I would love to go. That's awesome. Bro, we've talked so much, dude. The last thing I want to ask you about is the shop that you work for.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what you guys do.
GhostWorx, we do performance mods and upgrades for supercars, muscle cars, Mustangs, Mercedes, McLaren, Ferrari, all that kind of stuff. We can make your car louder and faster.
Nice.
We're good at it.
You guys do tunes as well?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Santa Ana. Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to touch on?
I would just say take the risk, man. Take the risk. And if you know another podcast, hit me up. I'm saying yes to everything, bro. I want to do any podcast and any public speaking opportunity, you name it. Because nothing's going to be higher pressure than telling SpaceX and the FAA about their upcoming launch or an upcoming missile launch to CNN. That's my background. You give me a microphone, I'll run with it.
Hell yeah, dude. Awesome. Hey, well, so good to meet you, bro. Yeah. So good to talk to you. And you have a great energy to you. And I wish you the best in whatever you do in the future.
I'll see you at EDC.
I'm going to make it on stage, dude.
Do it.
Oh, if I could press a button.
Just get a fake British accent.
Yeah.
Get pretty far.
All right, mates, raise your hands. Yeah. Oh, dude, thank you for your time. I appreciate you, man. And thank you guys for listening. Once again, this is Downtime with Downstar. We out. Peace.